This page is the dynamic cover of the July 1991 issue of Beep MegaDrive magazine, prominently featuring Sega's soon-to-be icon, Sonic the Hedgehog. The main highlight is a large, all-about Sonic the Hedgehog special feature, heralding his rapidly approaching debut and inviting readers to check out the future superstar from all angles. The issue boasts 2 supplements, a Sonic sticker, and The Book of Fastest One, a guide offering complete strategies for all 16 stages of a game, including tips for mastering speed, essential for any expert player looking to shave off milliseconds. Breaking news on the cover announces the Mega Drive Cradrom, known internationally as the Sega CD, posing an exciting question about its performance as it finally lifts its veil. Several other games are also listed, indicating reviews or coverage inside, including classics like Wrestle War, Alien Storm, and Marvel Land, alongside titles like Advanced Days in Ryaku, Kuga, Kyukai Duchuki, Master of Monsters, and Saint Sword. This cover clearly captures a pivotal moment in the Mega Drive's history, with the arrival of Sonic and the announcement of the Sega CD. This page introduces the exciting new hero arriving this summer, Sonic the Hedgehog. Following up on his initial announcement, the page highlights Sonic's appeal as a character players can relate to, who is excited by speed and loves thrilling challenges. He's described as stylish, with cool sounds, and possessing a kind heart despite his energetic nature. The text emphasizes the good-feeling gameplay, as Sonic uses his power to defeat the schemes of Dr. Eggman. The core themes for Sonic in the game are presented as love, justice, and adventure. The page includes the iconic Sonic the Hedgehog logo and 2 small screenshots showcasing the vibrant Green Hill Zone, giving a glimpse of the fast-paced platforming action players can expect, complete with the game's score, time, and ring count display. The Sega logo is prominently featured at the bottom. This page features a vibrant advertisement for Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive. Set against a bright tropical beach scene, reflecting the game's initial Green Hill Zone aesthetic, a large illustration of Sonic dominates the layout, pointing upward with confidence. This reinforces his status as the new hero arriving to change the gaming landscape. The prominent red text across the palm tree translates to "Changes the Era," underscoring the expected impact of the game and character. Below, the Mega Drive logo and a depiction of the console and controller emphasize the platform. 3 screenshots showcase early zones like Green Hill Zone and others, giving potential players a glimpse of the fast-paced platforming action. A yellow banner highlights the Japanese release date of July 26th and the price of 6,000 yen. This page acts as a powerful follow-up to Sonic's introduction, solidifying his image and the game's key details before launch. This page is an advertisement for Sega's Terra Drive, described as a twin CPU personal computer. It features a model, a screenshot of Sonic the Hedgehog on a monitor, and text highlighting its multimedia and gaming capabilities as the entrance to new possibilities. This page is an advertisement for the Sega Terra Drive, presented as a revolutionary computer system. The visual prominently features the Terra Drive unit itself, complete with a monitor displaying the Japanese version of Microsoft Windows 3.0, alongside a stylish model. The large text highlights Pew and the Terra Drive name, promising future performance that moves with time and declaring its birth. The core message is the Terra Drive's unique dual CPU architecture, combining an 80,286 and a 68,000 processor. Developed jointly with IBM Japan and featuring a genuine IBM PC board, this hybrid design allows it to run software from both the PC world, including Japanese DOS/Versus, and Japanese EMS Windows version 3.0, compatible with tens of thousands of existing IBM PC titles, and Sega Mega Drive games. This means you could potentially run PC applications for work, while someone else plays a Mega Drive game simultaneously on separate displays. Though the ad focuses more on the potential for both work and play on one system, it's positioned as a smart, versatile machine bridging the gap between serious computing and entertainment, promising broad software compatibility for both worlds. This page showcases the Sega Mega Drive game El Viento, which is part of the Ernest Evans series and was developed by Wolf Team. The main visual is the stylized title logo, accompanied by dramatic manga panels. One panel features the protagonist, Annette, with a dialogue bubble suggesting a sense of finality. Other panels depict destruction and a determined character, likely Ernest Evans, issuing a command to eliminate something, while a villainous character speaks of the world perishing by Gehenna's fire under the name of Hastur-sama. The page captures the game's intense atmosphere and introduces some key characters and plot points. The standard Mega Drive licensing information is also present. This page focuses on the thrilling action of El Viento, featuring a dynamic illustration of the protagonist, Annette, a 16-year-old girl who is central to the game's plot. The text highlights the game's intense, non-stop super action, with over 150 patterns of realistic and visually striking scenes, including massive explosions that fill the screen. Set in America in 1928, the story pits Annette against the cult of the evil god Hastur, and figures like Al Capone. Annette, described as the sole terror for the cult, wields magic and martial arts, having gained power from a past encounter where Hastur was sealed. The plot revolves around the cult's attempt to perform a blood ritual at the Empire State Building in New York to summon Hastur, and Annette's fight to stop them in this entertaining story from Wolf Team. This page features Dino Land, a distinctive 3D layered action pinball game developed by Wolf Team. Promising a grand adventure starring the fighting dragon Dino in the Jurassic period, the game allows players to explore various environments, including land, sea, and sky. The advertisement highlights the game's beautiful visuals and impactful sound effects that take full advantage of the Mega Drive's capabilities, noting a collaboration with popular music artists. Dynamic environmental changes, such as sudden weather shifts and cataclysms, are emphasized as adding realism to the game world. Screenshots provide a glimpse into the colorful dinosaur setting and the action-packed pinball gameplay. Dino Land was scheduled for release on August 2nd. This page showcases Arcus Odyssey, the third episode in the Arcus series, making its debut on the Mega Drive. The prominent illustration, created by the acclaimed Mutsumi Inomata, depicts the protagonist alongside fantastical creatures like a dragon and a dark sorceress, hinting at the game's epic fantasy setting. The narrative hook describes a world where peace is shattered by the theft of the powerful light sword and the looming threat of a blood-red full moon, setting the stage for four heroes to rise against a wicked shrine. Confirmed for release on June 14th, Arcus Odyssey is presented as an action RPG, promising an expansive new world. Screenshots give a glimpse of the gameplay perspective, featuring both exploration and intense battles. Key features highlighted include dynamic stage effects, tactical traps, an NPC support system that enhances the story, two-player simultaneous gameplay for twin battles, and a large 8 MB cartridge enabling a vast world with water view maps. Developed by Wolf Team, it looks to be a feature-rich entry in the action RPG genre. This page announces the upcoming release of Galaxy Force 2 on the Sega Mega Drive, prominently featuring the game's title and the exciting headline, "The Edge of the Galaxy Becomes a Battlefield." The page highlights this port of the classic arcade, experiential game giant. It promises powerful sound, breathtaking thrills, and astonishing 3D shooting action, emphasizing that this version, powered by an 8 meg ROM, will make ordinary shooting games pale in comparison. Developed by Crine, it is scheduled for release soon. This page serves as an announcement for the Bantan Computer Information Institute, established from the Computer Creation Department of the Bantan Design Institute. The core message is a declaration focused on training the human resources required for the coming 21st century computer-centric society, with a particular emphasis on nurturing game software creators. The announcement highlights the establishment of new departments starting in the 92 academic year, promising an enriched curriculum. Several new specializations are introduced, including sound creator, amusement robot and toy, audiovisual coordinator, information communication systems, systems engineer, and multimedia creator. These join existing fields, like game software creator, CG/VR creator, and various information business specializations. The page positions the computer as humanity's other brain and a crucial vehicle for the future, stressing the demand for skilled individuals who can freely manipulate this technology. An information section provides details on regional experience seminars and explanatory meetings, as well as contact information for the institute in Tokyo. It also mentions a Creative Experience Seminar Volume 2 event. Overall, it's a clear recruitment effort for those looking to enter the burgeoning digital and creative industries. This page announces the upcoming Mega Drive release of the popular arcade game Task Force Harrier. Titled Task Force Harrier X for this home port, it's described as a powered-up version that excited gamers in arcades, brought to the Mega Drive in response to player demand. The game is a shooting game, promising a different, exciting experience compared to the arcade original, featuring 12 stages plus a new, exclusive final stage. The page prominently displays a dark Harrier jet against a fiery background, along with two small screenshots showing overhead gameplay perspectives. It's scheduled for release in October 1991, with the price yet to be determined. This page announces the upcoming Sega Mega Drive release of the fighting game, Street Smart. Originally an arcade title by SNK, this port by Treco is presented as the All-America Martial Arts Tournament, where fighters from around the world gather to compete for $1 million prize. The dynamic artwork features the game's muscular combatants, while small screenshots showcase the pixel art graphics and street fighting action. Notable characters highlighted include Tonem Amano and John Schneider, emphasizing their signature special moves. Street Smart is scheduled for a July 1991 release in Japan, priced at 6,800 yen. This page announces the launch of Nihon Telenet's new game brand, Riot. Following a public call for ideas, the name Riot, meaning antithesis to common sense, was chosen, reflecting the company's ambition to create disruption and excitement in the gaming world. The page also lists winners of a prize giveaway. Prizes included systems in games like Exile, Wicked Phenomenon for the PC Engine, C-Drom Squared, and Valis 2i for the Sega Genesis/Mega Drive. Furthermore, a new brand commemoration campaign is detailed, where customers can collect points from purchasing Riot-branded products to redeem original telephone cards. This campaign encourages players to engage with the new line of games, offering tiered rewards based on accumulated points. Nihon Telenet presents itself as a group dedicated to pushing boundaries, inviting players to anticipate their new Riot releases. This page features promotional material for the Mega Drive RPG, Trazia. The striking illustration depicts a young man standing on a cliff overlooking the sea, gazing towards the horizon. Above him, reflected in a large, ornate, mirror-like frame, is the face of a young woman. The accompanying text provides a narrative snippet, describing the protagonist's thoughts as he rests on his journey, reflecting on leaving his hated hometown and yearning to see a different world. This sets the tone for the romantic and adventurous RPG story promised by the game. Trazia is highlighted as part of Nihon Telenet's new Riot brand and is scheduled for release in November 1991. The illustration is credited to Mahiro Maeda. This page features a striking full-page advertisement for Toplan's classic horizontal shooter, Zero Wing, for the Sega Mega Drive. The vibrant artwork showcases the iconic yellow player ship against a menacing blue alien boss character, set against a backdrop of stars. The prominent title logo, Zero Wing, is displayed at the top. Bold Japanese text vertically on the left declares the game's core actions: catch, throw, destroy, and hails it as a new space battle legend. The advertisement highlights that this is a perfect port of the popular arcade games. It specifically points out the game's innovative mechanic of being able to capture enemies and either use them defensively as a barrier or offensively by throwing them. The text also notes that Zero Wing is a unique entry into Aplin's renowned lineup of shooting games. It confirms the game is now on sale at a price of 8,000 yen, excluding tax, and is an 8 mega room title. Licensing information from Sega Enterprises is also included at the bottom. This page presents a dramatic promotional image for the game Beast Warriors. The artwork dominates the page, featuring a powerful, dark creature standing triumphantly over a fallen, lighter-skinned opponent. The title, Beast Warriors, is prominently displayed at the top, accompanied by the exciting declaration, "Now the battles begin." Developed by Telenet Japan under their Riot brand, the game is described as a deathmatch of dragons born by genetic manipulation, hinting at its fighting game nature and creature design. The impressive creature modeling for this promotional piece was done by Yasushi Nirasawa. Beast Warriors was scheduled for release in September. The page confirms this title is for the Sega Mega Drive. This page features a selection of books published by SoftBank Publishing Division, focusing on RPGs and general game culture. The first book, RPG Fantasy Encyclopedia, serves as a guide for RPG fans, detailing the origins of monsters, weapons, and armor, from mythology and medieval tales. The second, RPG Fantasy Encyclopedia Japan Edition Japanesque, delves into Japanese mythology and fantasy as sources for RPG elements. Both are presented with cover art depicting fantasy scenes. Next is RPG, Setting Material Magic Kingdom Simulgent, aimed at aspiring game designers, or those wanting ideas for world-building, characters, and items within RPGs. The page also highlights Koichi Sugiyama's Great Game Expo, a collection of essays and conversations by the famous composer, covering various game topics from retro to modern and beyond. Finally, Japan's first pinball book, Pinball Graffiti, is showcased, offering an in-depth look at pinball machines from 1965 to 1988, featuring contributions including an essay by Haruki Murakami. Each book description includes the author or supervisor and its price. The page acts as a catalog promoting these diverse, gaming-related publications. This page announces the upcoming release of the vertical scrolling shooter Vapor Trail, known as Kuga in Japan, for the Mega Drive. Published by Nihon Telenet under their Riot label, the game is scheduled for release on July 19th, priced at 8,400 yen. It's promoted as being for arcade enthusiasts and dedicated to all shooting game fans. This page features upcoming games from Riot, a label of Nihon Telenet. It highlights 3 distinct titles scheduled for release on the Sega Mega Drive. First up is Port of Trasia, an RPG set for a November release. This title is described as a story-driven RPG with a focus on narrative depth, featuring a protagonist leaving his love in a port city for adventure. It supports a party of up to 4 and includes numerous sub-events alongside the main story. Screenshots show exploration views and character illustrations. Next is Valis, an action game coming in December. This is a remake of the original Valis game, rebuilt with a style and art direction closer to the Mega Drive's own Valis 2 Eyes. The article notes strong demand for a port of the first title and features illustrations of some bosses from the game. Finally, Exile, also set for a December release, is presented as a hit action RPG, previously popular on the PC engine Crendrum. The game is praised for its robust combat system, which feels like a standalone action game within the RPG structure. Set in the Middle East, it incorporates historical and geographical elements. The page includes screenshots of the world map, a battle scene, and a cool status screen. The article mentions that future Riot titles will be 8 meters with battery backup, indicating significant game content. This page features an advertisement for the Game Gear title Griffin from Telenet Japan. The large Japanese text translates to, "If I get angry, I'm scary, you know." The artwork prominently displays an anime-style female character alongside a futuristic tank or mecha. The accompanying text provides a brief setup for the game, describing an evaluation test for a new tank called the Griffin, which is attacked by an enemy force. The story centers around a test driver named Mint, who, along with the Griffin prototype, takes on the invaders to protect the nation. The page indicates the game is a shooting game for the Game Gear, and notes the release date as late July, with a price of 3,800 yen excluding tax. It also includes the standard disclaimer that the product is licensed software for the Sega Game Gear. This page features an advertisement for the game Valis SD. It showcases the characters from the classic Valis series, including the protagonist Yuko, rendered in a super deformed comical style, emphasizing how cute the game has become. The text highlights that you can enjoy the world of Valis with a comical touch, selecting from 3 characters centered around the super cute Yuko. The gameplay involves fighting weird boss characters with cool action. The page is promoting this interesting Valis world developed by Lasersoft and published by Telenet Japan. This page features a look at the upcoming fantasy war simulation game, Master of Monsters. The page showcases impressive artwork, including 5 distinct magic users you can choose from: the Warlock, Necromancer, Summoner, Wizard, and Sorcerer, all vying for control of the Devil King's throne. The main illustration depicts an epic clash between a knight on a dragon and a winged warrior, hinting at the scale of the battles. The text describes a world ruled by magic, where chosen spellcasters grow in power and summon monsters to fight. It highlights key features of the Mega Drive version, including music supervised by the renowned Koichi Sugiyama, an original AI function, powerful battle animations, easily visible character growth, and a faster game system. Screenshots provide a glimpse of the game's hexagonal map and combat interface. The game was scheduled for release on July 26, 1991, priced at 7,800 yen. This page is the table of contents for the July 1991 issue, laying out the exciting content within. It kicks off with a new title scramble, covering upcoming releases like the action-packed El Viento and Ernest Evans, arcade hits Mercs, Wonder Boy in Monster World, Populous, Devil Crush, and Slap Fight. Following that is the B Mega Hot menu section, promising a deep dive into games like Wrestle War, Alien Storm, Vapor Trail, Raiden, Master of Monsters, the game from the previous page feature, and Saint Sword. A major highlight is the All About Sonic the Hedgehog feature, a comprehensive look at the blue blur rapidly approaching its debut. There's also a special appendix dedicated to the fastest one, offering a complete strategy guide for all 16 races and tips for mastering the game. The page also announces a new serial comic based on Wolf Team's latest action game, almost certainly El Viento. Scattered throughout are screenshots, including a glimpse of the classic platforming in Wonder Boy in Monster World, tactical combat in Langrisser, and the wrestling action of Wrestle War. This issue looks packed with previews, features, and guides for Mega Drive fans. This page presents the latest sales rankings for both Mega Drive and Game Gear software based on shop data. The Mega Drive Top 10 shows that Shining in the Darkness still holds the top spot, but new releases are making the competition fierce. Warsong, previously highlighted, sits comfortably at number 2, with Romance of the Three Kingdoms 2 entering the chart at 3rd place. Other familiar titles like Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse and Joe Montana Football, maintain strong positions. The reviewers note the unique presentation of Shining in the Darkness, the lively characters in Warsong, and praise Castle of Illusion for Mickey's smooth animation. The Game Gear, the top 5 ranking is also presented, reflecting a vibrant market with frequent new releases. The baseball title Gear Stadium leads the pack, followed closely by Castle of Illusion starring Mickey Mouse and the action-packed The GG Shinobi. The ranking shows a mix of genres performing well on the handheld. This page features user data, highlighting the games Mega Drive owners most want to see ported. The top section focuses on the requested port games top 20, noting the recent announcement that the highly desired simulation game Populous is finally coming to the console, raising hopes for other popular titles. Street Fighter II takes the number 1 spot, followed closely by Final Fight, games previously ranked high on similar lists. The list includes a diverse range of genres, featuring titles like Dragon Saber, Record of Lodoss War, SimCity, and the YS series, showing a strong user demand for arcade hits and popular PC titles. The bottom section presents the latest shop data, revealing the top 5 most popular recent video games based on store sales. Street Fighter II also leads this chart, demonstrating its massive current appeal, followed by Sega's arcade racer Rad Mobile and the quiz game UU Quiz to Go! This section notes that while easy-to-enjoy games are popular, there's still a strong desire for more intense arcade-style ports, like Street Fighter II. The page includes screenshots of Populous, Street Fighter II, SimCity, and UU Quiz to Go, visually representing some of the most talked-about games. This page delves into the user data, specifically focusing on the most anticipated new games for the Mega Drive, according to reader surveys. The top spots are dominated by highly awaited titles. Coming in at number 1 is the strategy game Advanced Daisen Ryaku Blitzkrieg in Germany, a title players had been waiting for, finally set for release. Sega's new mascot, Sonic the Hedgehog, captures the 2nd spot, lauded for its blistering speed and vibrant music that perfectly fits Sega's image. Marvel Land, known internationally as Talmud's Adventure, ranks 3rd. Noted as a fun port of the popular Namco arcade game, the action RPG Vermilion takes 4th, described as evolving into a more action-oriented experience on the Mega Drive compared to its PC original. Rounding out the top 5 is the classic racer Outrun, with anticipation high for a faithful port that retains its famous sound. The rest of the top 20 features a diverse lineup, including acclaimed titles like the shooter Thunder Force 2i, the action-adventure Alicia Dragoon, the quirky RPG Rent-A-Hero, and other anticipated releases spanning racing games such as Fastest One and Power Drift, strategic challenges, and action-packed adventures. The list reflects a strong user base, eager for both original and popular series, making their way to the console. This page presents the new software schedule, detailing upcoming releases for both the Sega Mega Drive and the Game Gear. It lays out lists of games with their planned release dates, prices, publishers, genres, and some technical specifications like room size. The schedule shows a robust lineup of titles hitting the market soon, covering a wide array of genres from action games like Streets of Rage and Alien Storm to shooters like Thunder Force 2 and Galaxy Force 2, RPGs like Populous and Wonder Boy V, Monster World 2i, and classics like Outrun. Many highly anticipated titles from the previous page's user survey appear here with confirmed or tentative dates, including Sonic the Hedgehog, Alicia Dragoon, and Rent-A-Hero. The list highlights continued strong support for the platform from both Sega and third-party developers, featuring well-known names and new entries across various genres. Adding a forward-looking perspective, the editorial section discusses the evolving landscape of the game industry. It notes the increasing importance of Klydrom technology and anticipates that that future competition between consoles will heavily involve these new CDBASED systems. Excitement is building for Sega's own Cruciadrom unit, the Mega CD, with the editorial team stating that it is expected to feature a significant number of major titles from both Sega and third parties, promising a high-spec experience for Mega Drive users. The SoftMaker message board features updates from game developers. Sega is optimistic after the Sonic demo, highlighting June Mega Drive releases, Advanced Military Commander, Alien Storm, and Wrestle War, plus Game Gear's Ganbar Gorby. Wolf Team shares a personal note. Human announces Fastest One's June 28th release. Kodansha Sukin apologizes for Blue Almanac's delay and plans a new RPG. Taito discusses Thunder Fox and Halley Wars for Game Gear. Namco promotes Marvel Land. Micronet shares Raiden Dense Gatsu testing insights. CSK Sukin anticipates Galaxy Force 2. Technosoft is enthusiastic about Devil Crash MD's August release. Home Data details Dragon's Eye plus Shanghai 3. Riot Japan Telenet changes its brand names. Sanritsu Denki releases Fantasy Zone Gear. Tsukuda Ideal releases Magical Taruto-kun. Kaneko previews the Berlin Wall. This page features the BeepMD race section, which evaluates new Mega Drive and Game Gear software using a unique dog rating system. Featured games include Arcus Odyssey from Wolf Team, an action RPG receiving an average rating of 5.75 dogs. Reviewers commented on its mature atmosphere and challenging aspects, noting some difficulty with the action combat. Also reviewed is Alien Storm by Sega, an action game scoring a higher average of 7.5 dogs. Described as potentially a future version of Golden Axe, the reviewers praised its fun factor and controls, which feel similar to Golden Axe. It includes 3D and high-speed scrolling sections, making it quite addictive despite some cut content compared to the arcade version. The page explains, the dog rating is an average from 4 reviewers on a 10-step scale. The reviews are provided by contributors like Okada Mayumi, Alex Kuji, Chojin Barome, and Metal Heart Usagi, offering their perspectives on the games. This page reviews 4 games. Saint Sword, an action game, received 5.5 dogs for its unique transformations and flashy scenes, though criticized for control issues and repetitive enemies. Fastest One, an F1 racing simulator, scored 6.25 dogs. While praised for its speed, its difficult simulation aspects and controls were points of contention. Marvel Land, a port of the arcade game, earned 6.75 dogs. Reviewers appreciated its charm, but some felt it lacked the arcade excitement. Wrestle War, Sega's wrestling game, garnered 6.5 dogs. Despite its large sprites and fast moves, it was criticized for limited movesets and jerky controls. This page reviews 4 Sega Genesis games, offering a look at their gameplay and reviewer opinions. First up is Raiden, the classic arcade shooter, scoring a 6.5 average. Reviewers noted the game's infamous difficulty and changes from the arcade version, particularly in graphics and sound, which felt lacking. Despite this, the core shooting action and original stages were praised, along with the inclusion of a hidden element, perhaps the cow. Next is Ganbar Gorby, an action game with a 6.0 average. The game is described as comical with unique character interactions, though some gameplay aspects like item collection were seen as flawed. The boss fights were highlighted as interesting, making it enjoyable for a wide range of players. Halley Wars, a shooting game, received a 6.25 average. This port of the arcade game felt like a nostalgic, straightforward shooter. While having some differences from the original, like modified boss battles, the core gameplay was deemed enjoyable, appealing to fans of older shooters. Finally, Berlin Wall, an action/puzzle game reminiscent of Lode Runner, scored a 6.0 average. Uniquely, players dig through floors rather than walls to trap enemies. Its simple rules and accessible gameplay made it recommended for casual players, despite some reviewers finding the enemy movement somewhat predictable. This page delves into a couple of Game Gear titles and offers an editorial overview of recent releases. First up is a look at Magical Taruto-kun, based on the popular manga and anime. This is a shooting game where you rescue characters. While the characters are cute, the reviewer notes the game itself is a bit bland and the difficulty is only average, giving it a score of 5.75 overall, with individual reviewers scoring 6. It feels more like a character-based game than a deep shooter. Next is Phantasy Zone Gear, This port of the arcade classic Phantasy Zone gets a solid 7.5 average, with scores of 8 and 7. Reviewers praise the colorful graphics and smooth movement, capturing the feel of the original well. Despite some enemies and bullets being a bit small, the port quality is considered good, with more items available than in previous versions, making it appealing. The editorial column reflects on a busy month for releases, although it felt a bit lonely with delays like Advanced Days and Ryaku. They highlight games like Alien Storm as a strong recommendation for action fans, and Raiden for shooting enthusiasts. For Game Gear players, Phantasy Zone Gear is mentioned as a notable port, and the fastest one is suggested for those who aren't speed freaks. It's noted that this month saw many ports, which might disappoint players looking for entirely new experiences, but titles like Phantasy Zone Gear offer a good take on classics. This page introduces the BeepMD Reader Race, where readers rate Mega Drive games on a 10-point scale, and the magazine publishes the average scores, effectively turning readers into critics. The main feature is a comprehensive table ranking games based on these reader average scores, with new entries highlighted. The page then spotlights several key titles from the rankings. The top-ranked game is Shining, and The Darkness, lauded as the favorite horse. Readers gave it a high average score, acknowledging its impressive production values and smooth presentation that expanded the Mega Drive's potential. However, some comments suggest it felt a bit lacking as a simulation RPG, with mixed reader opinions on its story and depth. Further down the list, MU.H.A is featured as a rival horse at rank 10. This shooter is praised for being top class, with impressive graphics, sound, and production that wowed players. An older classic, Phantasy Star II, ranked 22nd, is also highlighted. It's noted as an early RPG masterpiece for the system, with impressive sound and combat for its era, although some readers found it difficult and felt the story tapered off. Finally, an Other Outliers section briefly covers Supermasters, a golf game reviewed as quiet and lacking depth at rank 50, and Super Hang-On at rank 61, a racing game noted for differing controls compared to the arcade version despite similar visuals. This page details reader rankings for Mega Drive games, starting from position 41. Games like Rainbow Islands Extra, Shadow Dancer, and Phantasy Star II are highlighted, showing their reader popularity. The page then features games outside the top ranks. Thunder Force 2, In Gaiares, despite their good scores, faced mixed reviews regarding gameplay. X-Doctor received harsh criticism, earning a low score and negative comments. Midnight Resistance, ranked 15th, is praised for its engaging gameplay. Valis 2, though visually appealing, received criticism for its action. Shining in the Darkness continues to be highly rated. The page concludes with information on how readers can participate in future rankings. This page brings us some massive news. The Sega CD, known as the Mega CD in Japan, is slated for release this autumn. This add-on promises a huge leap forward from standard ROM cartridges, boasting much larger capacity and faster data access, directly challenging units like the TurboGrafx X CD, PC Engine CD-ROM Squared. Sega is packing serious tech into the unit. It features a front-loading design for ease of use and connects to the Genesis Mega Drive's expansion port. What's truly exciting is that the Sega CD unit includes its own 68,000 CPU, dedicated hardware for rotation and scaling effects, and significantly enhanced sound capabilities, with 8 voices of PCM audio. The inclusion of substantial buffer RAM is highlighted as key to overcoming slow CD access times, allowing for much richer games with improved graphics and sound. While the large capacity opens up new possibilities, it's noted that the system still relies on the original Genesis CPU for core processing. The page also touches on the TerraDrive, a separate machine with a Kydron bus, clarifying that the Sega CD is not compatible with it, and suggesting the TerraDrive might be geared towards PC compatibility and expansion. This confirms Sega was exploring multiple avenues for future hardware development. This page provides a detailed look at the technical specifications and features of the upcoming Mega CD add-on. It highlights the significant improvement in access speed over existing CD-ROM systems like the TurboGrafx XD, aiming to reduce access times to about 1/3, largely achieved through substantial buffer RAM used as a cache. A key technical detail is the inclusion of a dedicated 12.5 MHz 68,000 CPU within the Mega CD unit. This secondary processor handles the CD data loading, reducing the workload on the main Genesis CPU and enabling more complex game experiences. The hardware also supports graphics effects such as rotation and scaling. Sound capabilities are greatly enhanced, adding 8 voices of PCM audio to the Genesis's existing FM sound chip. The page suggests this results in sound quality comparable to high-end arcade games of the era, specifically mentioning and showing images related to the arcade racer Rad Mobile. The large capacity and advanced features open possibilities for uses beyond traditional gaming. The page also briefly notes Sony's CDI player shown at a business event as another CDBASED multimedia exploration. A conceptual drawing or prototype image of the Mega CD unit is featured, showing its design. This page delves into the expectations surrounding the Mega CD, focusing on third-party support and user desires. It notes that while the hardware offers significant enhancements like improved graphics capabilities and superior sound with PCM audio, the success hinges on third-party developers creating compelling software that fully utilizes these features. 18 companies are mentioned as being involved. Although development is still in its early stages, the magazine conducted a survey revealing high user anticipation, with 83% expressing intent to buy the Mega CD when it launches. Users voiced their hopes for specific software, including ports of popular arcade games like Rad Mobile, simulation titles such as SimCity and SimEarth, RPGs, that leverage the CD's capacity for extensive animation, action games with realistic movement, and strategy games like those in the Daisen Ryaku series, related to Advance Wars. Screenshots accompany these discussions, showing games like Rad Mobile, a simulation title appearing to be SimEarth, a strategy game reminiscent of Advance Wars, and Sierra's adventure game Rise of the Dragon, indicating the diverse range of genres users are eager to see on the platform. The article also touches upon the expected price of Crydrum software, suggesting that while initial prices might be higher, they are expected to eventually drop below cartridge prices, with some speculation of launch titles being under 40,000 yen. The overall sentiment is one of excitement and high expectations for the Mega Red's software lineup. This page dives into the latest software releases, with a major focus on Wolf Team's upcoming action title, El Viento. The magazine highlights that the action side of the game is handled by the staff behind Granada, promising solid gameplay. What immediately stands out is the unique setting, blending 1920s Prohibition-era America with the chilling elements of the Cthulhu mythos. A key selling point is the main character, Annette, boasting an impressive 150 different animation patterns for her movements, making actions like running and jumping feel remarkably natural. Annette attacks with a boomerang and can use 8 types of magic, and the game includes RPG elements with character and item leveling. With 9 stages in total, El Viento promises visually striking action, including massive, screen-filling explosions that occur when destroying enemy vehicles. The story involves Annette confronting a cult tied to Al Capone's mafia, who are attempting to resurrect the cosmic entity Haspester by sacrificing a young girl, leading to a confrontation at a magically enhanced Empire State Building. Other notable games briefly mentioned in this new release roundup include Ernest Evans, Commando, Phalia, Wonder Boy and Monster World, Populous, and Devil's Crush. The overall impression is excitement for El Viento's distinctive theme and action-packed gameplay. This page highlights 2 upcoming Sega CD titles from Wolf Team. First up is Ernest Evans, a real action game scheduled for November. Interestingly, Annette from El Viento appears as a supporting character here. The game boasts multi-joint characters for natural movement, and takes full advantage of the Crydrum's capacity, with impressive visuals, animation studio graphics, and voice acting, aiming for an Indiana Jones-like atmosphere. It was planned for release alongside the Sega CD launch. Screenshots show diverse action, including jumping and whip attacks. Next is Spirit God Century Phalia, Seirei Shinseki Phalia, an RPG set for December. Magazine questions if this could be the first RPG for the Mega CD, utilizing its large capacity for a grand-scale adventure. It promises a revolutionary system with dynamic map changes, such as the ground cracking open, described as powerful direction. The game includes various elements like its battle system and detailed monsters, suggesting it's a more elaborate RPG than screenshots might initially suggest. This page features previews of 2 upcoming Sega Mega Drive titles.
First up is Outrun, the classic arcade racer finally appearing on the Mega Drive after a long wait. The magazine notes that while scaled down from the arcade, the Mega Drive version is surprisingly close, with larger sprites for the car and background elements like palm trees and billboards compared to the Mark II version. The speed is smooth, allowing players to experience the arcade feel at home. The reviewer is particularly pleased with the faithful reproduction of the original BGM, plus an original Mega Drive track, making for a total of 4 selectable tunes. Screenshots showcase the familiar start line, various course segments including a split, and the iconic goal scene. Below that is Mercs, known as Senju no Ukami 2 in Japan, a sequel to Commando. This port of the arcade shooter is coming to the Mega Drive, promising intense war action where you control a character attacking giant tanks and battleships. The game features 7 rounds, described as a faithful from the arcade. The Mega Drive version also includes an original mode, where you rescue 5 allies and switch between characters. Screenshots display the top-down shooting action, featuring tanks, infantry, and aerial enemies. The reviewer expresses excitement, particularly for the added original mode. This page features previews of 3 upcoming Sega Mega Drive titles. First up is Wonder Boy in Monster World, presented as the 5th game in the Wonder Boy series and the 3rd in the Monster World line. This action RPG retains the core system of the earlier Monsterland games, focusing on equipping gear with money earned from enemies and solving puzzles through information gathered from townspeople. It's noted as a lengthy title, taking over 30 hours to complete, and includes a save function. The graphics and gameplay are described as familiar to fans of the series. Next is the highly anticipated release of Populous from Sega. This is a port of the Genesis version developed by Electronic Arts, bringing the classic simulation game to the Japanese market. The graphics are identical to the Genesis release. The reviewer is excited that this popular game, previously only available via import, will now be widely accessible in Japan. Saves are handled via a password system. Finally, we have Shogi no Hoshi, Home Data's first Mega Drive release, and their first shogi, Japanese chess, game. This title stands out by including a unique comedy skit adventure mode alongside the standard shogi gameplay. In the adventure mode, players can use items and special moves, offering a twist on traditional shogi. The game also allows players to adjust the difficulty to suit beginners. Screenshots show both the standard shogi board view and a scene from the adventure mode featuring characters. This page features Technosoft's upcoming Sega Mega Drive port of the PC Engine hit pinball game, Devil's Crush. The article highlights that this isn't just a straight port, but a version up, with significant enhancements. Expect improved graphics and sound, new BGM tracks, and even additional original stages beyond the main multi-screen table, including a final stage triggered by hitting a high score. The game also features enhanced animation, 2-player alternating play, password saves, and refined controls, promising an even more polished experience than the original. Beyond the main feature, there's a quick look at a few other upcoming titles. Toplan's classic shooter, Slapfight, is getting a Mega Drive release, described as a popular game from 5 years prior. Palsoft introduces Undead Line, a horror-themed game originally on PC, now appearing on MD with its distinct visual style. Finally, a preview of a top-down F1 racing game tentatively titled Satoru Nakajima F1 Grand Prix is shown, noting its unique 360-degree car rotation and planned December release. This page kicks off the Be Mega Hot menu section, highlighting upcoming releases like WrestleWar and Alien Storm. The main feature is the Sega Mega Drive port of the arcade wrestling title, WrestleWar. Presented as having a 3D feel, the game lets you play as Bruce Blade on a quest to conquer America and unify the SWF and SWA belts. Matches follow standard wrestling rules, ending by pinfall or ring out, with draws possible via ring out or time limit. The article notes the dynamic characters and moves, commenting on the impact of moves like the backdrop and dropkick. Screenshots show intense action, the continue screen with a limit of 3 continues, and the character portraits. The Essential Versus mode is also covered, confirming 2-player support. While Player 1 is locked to Bruce Blade, Player 2 can choose from the remaining 8 wrestlers. Match time limits are customizable, and the article notes that victory often comes down to rapid button presses, making for potentially heated 2-player bouts. This page serves as a comprehensive guide to the various wrestling techniques available in WrestleWar. It emphasizes the importance of learning moves and understanding the right situations to execute them effectively, noting that rapid button presses are often key,
influencing the power gauge and move success. The guide categorizes moves based on the wrestler's state, such as grappling, being in a hold, or being thrown into the ropes, alongside general techniques. Key moves covered include fundamental punches and kicks, grappling maneuvers like the body slam, brainbuster, and pile driver, which require specific button mashing inputs while in a hold. Techniques performed after being thrown into the ropes include the shoulder throw. General moves feature the drop kick, B button, and the running lariat, a button while running. The guide also details stomping and picking up a downed opponent, the backdrop and German suplex hold performed from behind the opponent, and utilizing weapons during an outside brawl by pressing the seek button to pick them up and A or B to attack. Screenshots illustrate the execution of these diverse wrestling moves. This page dives into the lineup of opponents you'll face in WrestleWar's single-player mode, building upon the move guide from the previous page. It explains that you'll challenge 5 distinct wrestlers scattered across the U.S. in title matches for the SWF and SWA belts. You start by defeating Mohawk Kid in round 1, who is described as a good initial opponent to practice moves on. From there, you face a roster of unique challengers. Mr. J from Minneapolis, notable for his mask. Don Dumbbuster from New York, a flamboyant wrestler skilled at the lift-up slam. Sledgehammer from San Francisco, the current SWF champion known for his powerful King Kong knee drop. Titan Morgan from Dallas, the current SWA champion whose guillotine drop is particularly painful. And Nimrod Falcon from Miami, a Mexican luchador type. The page features pixel portraits and screenshots of each wrestler in action, demonstrating some of their signature moves. It highlights their characteristics and fighting styles. After defeating these initial 6 wrestlers, the path leads to 2 final, tougher opponents in the 2 crowns section, suggesting the ultimate challenge to become the world's strongest wrestler. A map of the Honus is shown, marking the locations of the various wrestlers you must overcome. The next page delves into the various ways you can enjoy playing WrestleWar, emphasizing that simply clearing the game isn't the only goal. Pro wrestling is about entertaining. The page outlines 3 distinct playstyles. First, the bright, fun, intense type follows the classic wrestling path, starting with basic strikes and working up to powerful signature moves and finishers, sometimes incorporating brawling. Second, the straight path to truth, UWF type, focuses on realistic grappling and strikes, aiming for quick, decisive finishes, similar to UWF rule sets. It mentions aggressive kicking and going for quick pins. Third, the game progression first type prioritizes clearing the game as efficiently as possible, using any means necessary to finish the opponent when they are weak, without concern for aesthetics. The small note advises against using rapid-fire pads, stating the game's appeal lies in the intensity of button presses. Finally, the page highlights the big characters as the game's main attraction. It notes that while the move list isn't extensive, the size and impact of the characters are top tier for the system, and it's a faithful port of the arcade version, making it great for stress relief. The next page provides a detailed guide for Alien Storm, a unique title featuring distinct action, 3Ds, and high-scroll shooting segments. To master the game, you need to understand the nuances of each mode. The action scene tips emphasize conserving your limited energy gauge, which doubles as life and weapon power. Special attacks drain it quickly, leaving you reliant on weak melee. When surrounded, a dash attack is recommended for breaking free and repositioning behind enemies, being simpler and safer than other options. In the 3D scene, which involves navigating inward and shooting enemies, destroying scenery yields numerous items, including vital life units. However, don't get greedy. Prioritize clearing the aggressive enemies first, as items persist briefly before disappearing. Specific alien types, like the Kelkoids that emerge from the sides spitting projectiles, should be targeted immediately as they inflict continuous damage. The high-scroll scene plays like a side-scrolling shooter, but jumping is tricky. It's mainly for evasion and offers little control or attack options mid-air, often leaving you vulnerable upon landing. The guide stresses the importance of precise aiming to hit enemies effectively, noting that while hit detection might look generous, it's quite strict, especially for key targets like the Kelkoid bosses, whose own attacks are frustratingly easy to hit the player. This page dives into the creatures of Alien Storm, presenting a bestiary titled, "The Fight Is Not Over Yet." It introduces the various alien life forms, highlighting their grotesque yet perhaps charming natures. The guide stresses the importance of understanding each enemy's personality and attack patterns to effectively engage in combat. You'll find descriptions and tactics for foes like the common Norogenge and Kelkoid, the surprising barrel-dwelling Badosha, the aggressive, liquid-spraying Mafuduruzu, and the persistently reviving plant-like Porikutus. The page also covers the unsettling winged Werantera, enemies like the Vurunusu and Genge that provide valuable energy units upon defeat, and the 3D exclusive Shikurido. While enemy colors and stats vary, their core behaviors and attack methods remain consistent, making it vital to learn their traits for a calm approach to the fight.
This page delves into the significant alien threats encountered in Alien Storm, specifically focusing on the daunting mid-bosses and the game's later stages. It introduces the massive Opsasu Tau, a formidable foe appearing in missions 2 and 6. This creature is described as incredibly strong and fast, utilizing beam attacks from its rear and tentacles, and even spitting out smaller entities. The key tactic recommended is to stay behind it and attack its back, especially when it focuses its beam forward. Following the Opsasu Tau in mission 6 is the bizarre G.I. Mafurata. This multi-eyed boss with cannon arms fires long-range bullets, emphasizing the need to learn its patterns for effective evasion while combining distant and close attacks. Rolling is suggested as a way to escape when cornered. Defeating G.I. Mafurata results in a burst of smaller enemies. The guide also highlights the escalating difficulty from Mission 5 onwards. Mission 5 takes players into a disturbing 3D research lab setting, filled with unsettling details and durable enemies that must be defeated to progress. Mission 6 returns to the city, now heavily infested with alien plants, creating an intense atmosphere where players face increased enemy numbers and the reappearance of the Opsasu Tau. Screenshots throughout the page illustrate these bosses, tactical approaches, and the unique environments of the later levels. This page features a sequence of manga panels telling a dramatic story. The panels show a man writing a letter with a quill pen, expressing remorse to his daughter, Akane, for writing it, as it might bring her misfortune. He reveals that a terrifying ancient power is sealed within a jewel he is entrusting to her, and he feels a duty to dispose of it. He asks her to keep the jewel hidden from everyone, and prays for the Lord's protection over her. The visuals include a detailed treasure chest containing the significant jewel, emphasizing its importance in the narrative. This page focuses on a serialized manga storyline, rather than game reviews or information. This page presents a dramatic illustration for the Sega Genesis title, El Viento. The artwork features two main characters from the game, a mysterious male figure, and the protagonist, Antoinette, highlighted by her dynamic pose and striking costume. The page identifies this game as part of the Ernest Evans series. A tagline declares that, transcending distant time and space, an ancient evil god is resurrected, setting the stage for the game's mythological and action-oriented plot. The illustration and text serve as a strong visual introduction or continuation of a serialized story related to the game, reflecting the style often seen in game promotions of the era. Credits for the production, original concept, composition, and artwork are listed, showcasing the team behind the game's creation. This page opens with a dramatic scene setter, placing us in New York City in 1923. The subsequent panels shift to a serene, almost spiritual atmosphere, showing a church exterior accompanied by bird sounds. We then move inside a grand church, where a figure stands before a large cross, seemingly in prayer, expressing gratitude for safely greeting another morning of grace. The page concludes with a close-up of a character, possibly Annette from El Viento, holding a jeweled object, followed by a panel with a sound effect suggesting movement or a heavy step, hinting at the transition from prayer to action. This sequence serves as a narrative introduction, perhaps leading into the events of the game or a related story, maintaining the historical and mystical themes established in the previous page's promotion of El Viento. This page continues the narrative, showing a man interrupting someone's prayer, apologizing for the intrusion. He then asks the girl if she is Annette. The girl, who is Annette Myers, confirms her identity. The man comments on her loveliness, comparing her to a French doll, which surprises Annette. This sequence appears to be an introductory scene for Annette, the protagonist of El Viento, furthering the story set up on the previous page. This page continues the story introduction, featuring Annette Myers and the man who interrupted her prayer. The man introduces himself as Mike Baldwin, an archaeologist. He reveals that he knows Father Meyer is a famous archaeologist, and that he suddenly lost contact in Venezuela a month prior. Mike expresses concern for Annette, acknowledging her worry. A descriptive box adds background details about Annette. She lost her parents 2 years ago, came from Peru to the US, is applying for US citizenship, and Father Meyer is her guardian. Annette is clearly taken aback by how much Mike knows about her personal life. This dialogue sets up the central plot point of the game El Viento, focusing on Annette's search for her missing guardian. The next page immediately escalates the confrontation between Annette Myers and Mike Baldwin. Mike reveals his awareness of a beautiful red jewel sent to Annette right after her guardian, Father Meyer, vanished. He demands that she show it to him. When Annette denies knowing anything about it, Mike dismisses her claim, stating that lying, even for someone as cute as her, is unacceptable. He then clarifies that the jewel is rightfully theirs, belonging to him and his associates. The situation turns physical, as Mike grabs Annette, demanding to know where she has hidden the precious stone, causing her distress and pain. This sequence clearly establishes Mike Baldwin not as an ally, but as an antagonist, seeking the mysterious jewel connected to Father Meyer's disappearance. This page plunges deeper into the conflict with Mike Baldwin's volatile reaction to Annette Myers. Having apparently been hurt or repelled, Mike cries out in pain, "Ugh! Wah!" His surprise quickly turns to rage as he shouts, "You!" followed by a venomous insult directed at Annette, calling her a "you damn brat!" Despite the verbal abuse, Annette seems determined, adopting a defensive posture. The confrontation escalates as Mike lunges forward, drawing a knife and yelling, "Wait up!" or "Stop right there!" The final panel depicts a sharp impact, indicating Annette has either blocked, dodged, or countered Mike's attack, confirming the situation has become a full-blown physical struggle. This page continues the intense confrontation between Mike Baldwin and Annette Myers. The action is dynamic, showing Annette in midair during a powerful movement, while Mike is depicted upside down, suggesting he's been thrown or is falling. Mike's anger persists as he speaks, "No matter how cute you are." Below, Annette is shown reacting with surprise or pain, letting out a cry of, "Ah!" The final panel illustrates Annette's counterattack, kicking or lunging forward, while Mike attempts to block the blow, surrounded by flying debris. Annette's exclamation, "Katsu!" underscores the fierce nature of the battle. Ernest Evans is also present, observing the unfolding fight between the two. This page continues the intense confrontation between Annette Myers and Mike Baldwin. Mike, showing no mercy, roughly grabs Annette, searching for something specific. He gleefully announces, "Now, where could the gem be?" As he finds it near her neck, indicated by a harsh sound effect, Annette reacts with a gasp of surprise and pain. Mike is triumphant upon discovering the gem in a place like this. However, Annette quickly retaliates with a powerful kick, sending Mike flying and disrupting the scene with debris. The dynamic panels capture the brutal exchange between the two as the battle rages on. This page continues the confrontation, showing Mike Baldwin's fury after being struck by Annette. He curses and desperately orders his men to capture the girl, Annette, and to steal the seal stone. A menacing thought or declaration is made about gouging out the heart of the little girl as a tribute to Lord Hastur. The narrative text highlights Annette's escape from the mysterious man pursuing the gem and questions what fate awaits her next. The artwork depicts Mike's intense anger and Annette looking shocked, likely reacting to the threats or the realization of the danger she is in from Hastur and his followers. This page is a mail-order catalog for video games and consoles from a store called Hop. It prominently features discounted prices for popular systems of the era, including the NES, Game Boy, TurboGrafx 16, Turbo Express, Game Gear, TurboGrafx CD, and Genesis. Though the console listings, the page provides a wide selection of games available for purchase across these platforms. While the list is extensive and covers various genres, the exact game titles are listed under their respective console sections, with individual or group pricing. The catalog details the ordering process, requiring customers to call first to check stock and pricing, then place an order via a dedicated line. Payment is handled through postal money order or registered cash, with instructions to include a memo. Items are shipped several days after payment is received. Pricing includes the cost of the item, a handling fee per game, and shipping costs that vary based on the order size. The advertisement specifies that the listed prices are exclusively for mail orders and are directed towards elementary school students or their guardians. It concludes by noting that the prices are valid only for the month of June. This page is a comprehensive mail-order catalog from the store simply known as Santa, offering a wide array of Sega consoles and games at discounted prices. It features the popular Game Gear handheld and the powerful Mega Drive, Genesis, alongside a vast selection of software across various price points. You'll find listings for new releases like the Tactical Sim Advanced Daisen Ryaku and the action-packed Arcus Odyssey, available for pre-order at special Santa prices. The catalog also includes a budget corner loaded with value titles such as the classic Space Invaders, the Driving Challenge Hard Drivin', the Beat-em-up Crackdown, and the Strategic Gain Ground. Essential Genesis hits like Shining in the Darkness, Super Monaco GP, Shadow Dancer, and the fast-paced Gaieres are also featured. A significant section covers games compatible with the Mark II-I and Master System, playable on the Genesis using the Master System converter. This includes timeless favorites like Outrun, Wonder Boy and Monsterland, Altered Beast, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, and the challenging Ghouls Ein Ghosts. Peripherals are also listed, from control pads and RF switches to the Master System converter and the XMD1 RGB unit. The page emphasizes competitive pricing and encourages potential buyers to call first to confirm availability before sending payment via mail order, making it a go-to spot for Sega fans looking for deals back in the day. This page kicks off a special feature focusing entirely on Sonic the Hedgehog for the Mega Drive. It wastes no time highlighting the game's revolutionary speed, declaring it unmatched in home console gaming at the time, and a vital demonstration of prioritizing pure fun in-game design. The article is adamant that this is a must-own title for all Mega Drive users. It provides a concise summary of the story, introducing Sonic, South Island, the powerful Chaos Emeralds, and the villainous Drive Eggman. The plot overview covers Eggman's scheme to seize the emeralds, his initial defeat by Sonic, and his subsequent return to robotize the island's animals. The feature concludes by praising the game's character charisma and exceptional entertainment value, crediting its quality to the considerable development effort. Release information, including the July 26, 1991 date, price, and genre, is also noted. This page provides essential preliminary knowledge for fully enjoying Sonic the Hedgehog. It details Sonic's simple controls using the D-P-A-D and a single button, allowing actions like running, stopping, rolling, and attacking via the spin dash or jump. Screenshots illustrate these basic moves. The page also explains the power-ups found in TV monitors, including extra rings, a protective barrier, an extra Sonic life, 1-up, speed shoes for faster movement, and a star aura for temporary invincibility. The vital role of rings is explained. Holding even one prevents losing a life when hit, though rings scatter. Collecting 100 rings grants an extra life. A useful tip is given for exploring the level map by using the D-P-A-D to look up or down, scrolling the screen to see what lies ahead or below. Screenshots show Sonic looking up and down. The unique special stages are highlighted, emphasizing their dizzying rotation mechanic, where the frame spins and players must move Sonic to collect rings and the crucial Chaos Emerald. Air marks are noted for changing the rotation direction. The visually striking background changing from fish to birds in these stages is also mentioned. Finally, a long interview with members of the Sonic production team, including Carol and Biggisland, discusses the development process. They share thoughts on creating a character to rival Mario, the team's effort, the focus on speed from the outset, the evolution to include the spin attack, and the importance of the game's simple controls for accessibility. This page dives deeper into the very first zone, Green Hill Zone, for Sonic the Hedgehog. It describes the level's atmosphere as a refreshing, southern-style landscape with lush trees and a pleasant breeze, emphasizing its simple terrain designed to let players experience the exhilarating speed right away. A major highlight is the iconic 360-degree loop, described as a thrilling, amusement park-like experience to dash through at full speed. The page also touches on interactive elements within the zone, like areas where Sonic can break through walls to create new paths, highlighting the dynamic nature of the environment. Other fun mechanics mentioned include navigating thorny paths and speeding through acceleration tubes. Finally, it covers the conclusion of the zone, the boss battle against Drive Eggman, and the satisfying moment of freeing the captured animals from the capsule to clear the stage. The ongoing interview section discusses the iterative design process for Zone 1, the challenges of balancing speed with enemy placement, the technology behind the special stage rotation, achieved in software,
and reveals that Sonic has around 100 animation frames, including various running styles and the 360-degree spin. This page delves into Sonic the Hedgehog's second zone, Marble Zone. It highlights that, unlike the previous Green Hill Zone, Marble Zone isn't built for pure speedruns, but instead requires careful navigation due to its traps and environmental hazards, noting that marble indeed refers to stone. The page showcases specific challenges, including dealing with deadly spike traps that require activating switches, and escaping the terror of rapidly approaching lava, emphasizing the timing-based nature of the zone. It also features the boss encounter with Dr. Eggman in this area, where he attacks by dropping fireballs. Additionally, the page gives a broader overview of the game's structure, which comprises 6 unique zones, each with 3 acts. It describes the thematic variation: Green Hill as the basic speed-focused start, Marble Zone with its lava and timing challenges, Spring Yard offering pinball-like jumping action, Labyrinth Zone as an underwater, timer-based stage where Sonic cannot swim, Starlight Zone providing a high-speed roller coaster experience, and the difficult final stage, Scrap Brain Zone, set in Dr. Eggman's base. The developers aimed for distinct concepts across all zones. Marble Zone's traps and lava are highlighted, along with an overview of the unique themes and challenges across all 6 zones of Sonic the Hedgehog. The next page dives into Spring Yard Zone, the third stage in Sonic the Hedgehog, immediately defining it as having a strong pinball image. As the name suggests, the zone is packed with springs everywhere. Hitting one can send Sonic flying like a ball from a plunger, which the reviewer finds incredibly satisfying to watch. Key mechanics include high drops that test the console's scrolling speed, thrilling vertical climbs using consecutive springs, and pushing specific blocks to create paths forward. The page also covers the Dr. Eggman boss fight in this zone, noting his attacks are becoming more formidable. Finally, there's a feature on the game's music, supervised by Masato Nakamura of Dreams Come True, who aimed to give each zone its own cinematic theme music. This page covers Sonic the Hedgehog's Spring Yard Zone, with its pinball action, Drive Eggman boss, and details on the game's music composer, Masato Nakamura. This page features a special interview between the Japanese idol Yumiko Takahashi and Sonic the Hedgehog himself. The conversation is a playful exchange, where Yumiko asks Sonic questions about his appearance, personality, and hobbies. Sonic clarifies he is a hedgehog, not a cat, and describes himself as cool and fast, with music, speed, and stopping Drive Eggman being his main interests. Yumiko shares her impressions of Sonic and her own hobbies, noting his Guppy nickname given by fans. There's also a curious question about whether Sonic's design origin relates to a character on a Humeus Air Force pilot's jacket from the movie The Right Stuff. Accompanying the interview are supplemental features. One illustration shows the Sonic the Hedgehog Band, featuring Sonic on vocals, alongside early character concepts, including Vector the Crocodile. Other sections explain what a real-life hedgehog is, and the meaning of Sonic in relation to the speed of sound and sonic booms, illustrated by a jet breaking the sound barrier. It's a fun mix of character interaction and factual tidbits related to Sonic's name and species. Yumiko Takahashi's interview with Sonic the Hedgehog touches on various topics. They discuss potential future storylines, including saving a photographer. Sonic aims for stardom, while Yumiko focuses on her singing career, with an album, Peace, and July concerts planned. Yumiko desires to be educated and graceful, despite her friends' teasing. Travel is mentioned, with Yumiko visiting Okinawa for work during a typhoon. The interview reveals Sonic's fear of water, which he overcame. The page also includes Yumiko's profile and a section exploring Sonic's appearances beyond video games, like in Rad Mobile and merchandise, showcasing his cross-media popularity. Finally, it introduces Sonic's nemesis, Drive Eggman. This page is dedicated to the action-packed fantasy title, Saint Sword, developed by Taito for the Sega Mega Drive. The striking artwork depicts a world under siege, with heroes battling monstrous demons and mythical creatures like centaurs and skeletal warriors. The core premise involves intense combat against the demon race and their evil ruler, the Demon King Gorgon. Players are highlighted as utilizing transformation abilities to overcome these foes across 11 distinct areas. Saint Sword promises breathless action and a massive labyrinth of levels populated by large monsters, aiming to challenge the player. This title was released on June 28 for 6,800 yen, bringing classic fantasy action to the Mega Drive library. This page features 2 action-packed titles from Taito, making their way to the Mega Drive. In the upper half is Thunder Fox, a side-scrolling action game based on the arcade hit, enhanced for the console. Players control Thunder and Fox, a duo of superhuman operatives, tasked with demolishing enemy strongholds across 5 stages. The artwork shows the heroes in a modern military setting with helicopters and explosions, contrasting with the game's sprite-based screenshots. Below, the classic fantasy action of Rastan Saga, known internationally as Rastan, is highlighted. This version is presented as a significant upgrade from the PC Engine release, bringing the sword and sorcery adventure with its iconic monster battles, including a fearsome dragon depicted in the artwork, to the Mega Drive across 5 challenging stages. The large vertical text on the right poses the question of which of these big 3 titles will be the player's favorite, implying these two, perhaps alongside another Taito title like Saint Sword from the previous page, represent major new releases. This page dives into Namco's delightful platformer, Marvel Land, focusing on the fantastical World 3, the land of sweets and dreams. Following up from the previous issue, the article previews attractions within this unique theme park-style game as the release draws near. World 3 itself is described as a vibrant world pulled straight from a fairy tale, increasing the action and requiring more precise platforming across vertical levels filled with hidden treasure chests. Specific areas are highlighted with screenshots and commentary. Area 31 showcases the candy house aesthetic, pointing out features like chimneys that can be hazards, and a section leading to a bonus target with a Pac-Man appearance, suggesting secrets if you possess the wing item. Area 32 features a treacherous caramel lake, demanding careful jumps, and mentions enemies like the Murasaki Pirawani, and a unique clone swing mechanic crucial for progression, emphasizing the need to retain items obtained early on. Area 33 introduces an exciting roller coaster segment, warning players about spikes on the ceiling and the need to ride through without attempting actions like jumping. A long screenshot across the bottom provides a comprehensive view of this charming, confectionery-themed world. This page continues the preview of Marvel Land's World 3, the land of sweets and dreams, detailing the remaining areas. Areas 4 and 5 involve navigating treacherous sections with enemies like jet moles and spear moles, utilizing moving platforms to cross a caramel lake, and bouncing across balls near the castle wall, where Captain Mole and Medusa heads appear. Area 6 is a continuation of the castle wall, leading to Area 7, the final section of this world. This area introduces lightning-dropping enemies and icemen, highlighting the wing item's importance for hovering past spikes to reach the goal. The page also previews the final challenge of World 3, a card-matching minigame against Princess Ara mode, requiring speed to find pairs. Additionally, it describes the beautiful Star Parade bonus stage that occurs between worlds, where players guide a fairy to collect stars, featuring guest appearances from other Namco characters like Pac-Man and Wonder Momo in the background for bonus points. World 4, Marble Castle, in Talmud's Adventure introduces icy, challenging gameplay. Slippery surfaces and slopes require precise movement to avoid falling into the lake. Area 41, the Crystal Plaza, demands mastery of momentum for jumps across platforms and rolling spheres. Area 42, the second part, features unstable footing and athletic sections, with treasures guarded by bomb moles. Clones are highly recommended. Area 43, the Marble Castle, is vast and contains a hidden warp zone. Area 44 has steep slopes, Medusa heads, and falling spikes. Avoiding jumps is critical to survival. Going down and right is generally the best way forward if lost. The Down We Go section introduces escalators, and players must be careful to avoid falling into the hot spring below. This guide details the final stages of World 4 in Talmud's Adventure, beginning with Area 45. A lava and spike-filled level similar to Caramel Lake. The wing item is essential for navigating this area, particularly its hover ability. The clone item obtained here is crucial for later challenges, especially against Medusa heads and Torton Mogul enemies. Area 46, Mogul's Fortress, introduces complex platforming and the necessity of the clone swing to overcome obstacles. Rolling attacks and dealing with moving stones and Medusa heads are critical tactics. The final battle against Underground King Mogul is a whack-a-mole style minigame where you must hit Mogul or Paco Prince when they pop out of holes, requiring quick reflexes. The page concludes by asking whether Prince Paco can save the spirits, and hints at an introduction to enemies in the upcoming guide. This page provides a comprehensive look at the adorable monsters found in Talmud's Adventure. noting how their expressions hilariously change after being defeated, a feature highlighted with side-by-side images for many. The guide splits enemies into two crucial categories, based on how Prince Paco can deal with them. First are the foes where only a rolling attack is effective, or who might even be invincible or rideable. This group includes the jet moguls you can ride, the pesky Medusa heads that can't be defeated but must be avoided, fire-breathing Torton moguls, the burning tree, and various creatures like the Mekujira, Wanidori, and UFO mogul that serve as platforms or vehicles. The second, larger group consists of enemies that are defeated simply by stepping on them. This section showcases a wide variety, from the expressive escargot snail and the heart-kissing tulips, to aquatic foes like the green and purple piracunis, and unique ground dwellers like the digging Yari moguls. The hat-throwing Captain mogul requires 2 steps, and the bomb mogul also needs 2 steps. There are also quirky enemies like the batting batter, the bouncy bee enemy, the thorny Barbara, the big mouth Oguchi, and the tongue-lashing chameleon. This section emphasizes the fun of seeing their reactions upon defeat. This page continues the enemy encyclopedia for Decap Attack, introducing a variety of colorful and quirky foes Prince Paco will encounter throughout his adventure, along with the formidable bosses guarding each world. The page showcases enemies ranging from the water-spitting Squiddy and the boomeranging Chuck, to the shy Mushmush and the rhythmic Come On. It details their unique attacks and behaviors, like Seimezami firing projectiles, the bouncing Boggart practicing triple jumps making him hard to stomp, the Ice Cream King rushing forward, and the Velo Candier licking itself as it approaches. There are also the card-themed Trump Troop jumping in groups, the contemplative Penguin-san, the rocking Hebi Meta mogul musician, and the giant hungry giant burger. Below, the page features the game's bosses. First is the Great Condor, the leader of the bird tribe in World 1 who is surprisingly weak despite his imposing appearance. Next is the armored anglerfish, a fierce fighter who can inflate like a balloon. Then there's Princess a la Mode, originally a dream spirit who fell to evil ways, challenging Paco with a card-finding game before losing control. Finally, the fearsome underground king mogul known as Deathhead, the ruler of the underground tribe, who, frustrated his power is limited to the depths, seeks to conquer the surface and faces off against Paco in a hammer-wielding battle. This page features a hyper-technology lecture by Aki Nihyaku, pondering if even Darwin worried as things grew larger. The article delves into the concept of evolution, contrasting it with creationism, and discussing its connection to modern technology and games. The main focus is on the game Darwin's Dilemma, presented as a puzzle game inspired by evolutionary theory. The game involves combining organisms to evolve them up a provided evolutionary tree, starting from simple forms like amoebas and octopuses, aiming to reach higher organisms. Gameplay mechanics include moving a Darwin character to push other creatures, merging identical ones to trigger evolution, and using a limited teleswap ability to instantly move organisms to strategic locations. Scoring rewards successful combinations and stage progression, but penalizes using teleswap or undoing moves, requiring careful planning and balance. The reviewer notes the game captures the dilemma, concluding with a desire to become human quickly, referencing the game's theme. This page features the 5th installment of the Game Designer's Territory Diary column by Naoto Kadokura, titled A Certain Golden Rule. The author explores the idea of a golden rule for creating compelling scenarios, suggesting that featuring numerous diverse characters with detailed personal histories allows audiences to connect and become emotionally invested. The author examines whether this rule applies to computer RPGs, using Dragon Quest IV, Chapters of the Chosen as a prime example. He notes that the game's structure, focusing on individual character chapters before converging, aligns with this rule. However, he discusses the divided opinions on the game, particularly the final chapter where only the hero is controllable in battle. He posits that this difference in evaluation highlights a fundamental difference between how audiences consume passive media, like movies, and how players interact with characters in RPGs, where the player is the central figure. The article suggests the standard scenario golden rule might not directly translate to interactive games due to the player's perspective. The author plans to further discuss the concept of bringing characters to life in the next entry. This page features a travelogue from Hong Kong by Ayako Magawa, focusing on the hunt for game software, particularly the unofficial kind prevalent in the city's computer town. Think of it as a treasure hunt through a chaotic, Akihabara-like district, where finding legitimate games is rare, and the shelves are packed with pirate copies. The article highlights the sheer volume of pirated Famicom software, including incredibly cheap multi-game cartridges holding dozens of titles. While Mega Drive pirate games were less common, the author did find some intriguing examples. This includes a Super 2-in-1 cartridge featuring a couple of classic Mega Drive games like Elemental Master and Devilish. They also picked up a Super 12-in-1 cartridge for the Master System, packed with 12 games such as Teddy Boy, Ghost House, Hang On, and Spy vs. Spy. Although the Master System collection is noted as containing mostly obscure or average titles,
the sheer novelty of these multi-carts provided a sense of excitement. Below the main article, the page showcases various Hong Kong-based game and computer magazines from the era, covering systems like the Famicom, Mega Drive, and even PX. These publications range from strategy guides that borrow heavily from Japanese originals, to general computing magazines, and those covering compatible hardware. The article explores the unique gaming landscape of Hong Kong, highlighting the prevalence of strategy guides and computer magazines, often derived from Japanese sources. The focus shifts to intriguing hardware, particularly the Game Master for Famicom Disk System saves, and the controversial Multi-Game Doctor, a multi-system room copier used for piracy. The article then previews upcoming Genesis releases, including Electronic Arts' Road Rash and Centurion, along with Tengen and New Vision titles. The review concludes with a detailed look at Electronic Arts' James Pond, praising its British origin, unique gameplay, and clever parody. A quiz challenges readers to identify Hong Kong Genesis games, with answers revealing popular titles like Atomic Robo Kid and Shadow Dancer. This page from Sound Club discusses the Media Mix Grand Strategy, highlighting how using CM commercial songs and TV theme songs is a highly effective way to achieve hit records in the current music market, where traditional sales are declining. The article explains the power of exposing music through popular media, emphasizing that CM songs, despite their short duration of 15 or 30 seconds, leverage their catchiness by focusing on the core chorus to appeal to listeners. The page then showcases several songs that have successfully used this media mix strategy, listing popular tracks used in prominent commercials and television dramas. Featured examples include songs used in Sankyo Regain and Suntory Tekotsu and Airyu commercials, theme songs for Fuji TV shows like Chiki Chiki Ban Ban and the hit drama Tokyo Love Story, as well as campaign songs for JAL and CMS for products like Panasonic Audio and Suntory Tea Liquor, featuring artists like Bees, Wink, and others. There's also mention of a compilation album focused on popular CM songs, highlighting the Eurobeat genre. A side panel offers CM knowledge, advising that to find out about a song heard in a CM, one should note the product or company and suggests consulting a magazine like CM Now for detailed information on artists and releases. At the bottom, there is a brief note about a Hideki Saijo Greatest Hits Mega Mix CD. This page continues the discussion on music and media strategy, exploring whether TV theme songs are influenced by the content of the show, the potential pitfalls of CM songs, and how CMS and TV are diversifying music styles. It also considers the possibility of musicians emerging directly from CM appearances. The page features reviews of recent music releases and events. Under Game Music New Release Review, the album for Blue Almanac is featured, an arrangement album released alongside the Mega Drive game. It highlights the Sound Team Cube, known for their work on Darius 2. Konami Game Collection 3 is also reviewed, containing music from Surprise Attack, Punk Shot, and Escape Kids, noting the consistent Konami sound but distinct feel for each game. Finally, there's a report on the SST Sega Sound Team band's live performance, mentioning guitarist Issei Noro from Cassiopeia joined as a special guest. A small note at the bottom recommends the album She's a Woman by Segway Sigway Sputnik, describing their sound as hard, beautiful, and funky. This page features the TV game market frontline column by game critic Uncle Jam, Yoshiki Yasuda. The main focus is the recent success of the strategy RPG warsong, known as Langrisser in Japan, developed by NCS, Masaya. The column includes an interview with Toshio Ida from NCS about the game's strong sales and their strategy. The discussion highlights that while simulation games can often be a niche genre that slowly gains traction, warsong was popular right from the start. NC's aim to make the game accessible not just to genre veterans, but also to newcomers. They discuss focusing on creating compelling original titles, rather than relying heavily on ports. At the bottom of the page, screenshots of recent NCS releases are shown.
the side-scrolling shooter Wings of War, Gnug, the action game Demon Hunter Yoko, Momono Hunter Yoko, and Warsong, Langrisser. Accompanying text notes the release order and reception, mentioning Starcruiser earlier. Wings of War starting the year well, Demon Hunter Yoko receiving less user reaction, and Warsong currently riding a wave of success. This page features an interview with Hideo Suzuki from NCS Messiah about their game development strategy on the Sega Mega Drive. Suzuki discusses the company's focus on excelling in simulation and RPG genres, noting these are more challenging but allow for greater originality compared to crowded action and shooting game markets. The discussion highlights their upcoming RPG, Sorcerian Kingdom. While the screenshot shows a traditional top-down RPG view, similar to the style of Dragon Quest, NCS intends for the game to be anti-Dragon Quest by incorporating unique themes and narrative elements to stand out. Character designs are being refined to meet this goal. Game critic Uncle Jam, Yoshiki Yasuda, concludes with a message expressing his admiration for NCS Messiah's commitment to making quality games on the Mega Drive, especially after the success of Warsong, Langrisser. He looks forward to the release of Sorcerian Kingdom as a fan. This page features the BeepMD letters section, where readers share their opinions on recent games. This month's focus includes feedback on new RPGs. Several readers share their thoughts on Shining in the Darkness, praising it as potentially the best RPG on the system to date, highlighting the detailed graphics and realistic town environments. Criticisms include basic enemy attack animations compared to Phantasy Star II, and frustration with dungeon design requiring backtracking. Despite some issues, including a less impactful ending than hoped, it's considered a good purchase, with particular appreciation for the 3D dungeon experience and excellent conversation scenes. There's also discussion of Sorcerian Kingdom, with one reader finding the story ordinary and exploration limited, although item usage was easy. The overall sentiment for Shining in the Darkness is positive, acknowledging its strong points and potential, with calls for a sequel that could utilize the CleanDRAW format to overcome limitations. The page includes a screenshot that appears to be from Shining in the Darkness, showing a party of adventurers. This page features the BeepMD section titled Speak Freely About Games, where readers share their thoughts and opinions. Several recent releases are discussed, including strategic titles and mahjong games. One reader compares Langrisser and a Romance of the Three Kingdoms game, ultimately choosing Langrisser and finding it surprisingly high quality for its cartridge size, calling it one of the best simulation games available. They praise the battle scenes, character dialogue, and sound, hoping for a CleanDRAW sequel. Various mahjong games are mentioned, with one reader finding the character voices in Jantu Monogatari unsettling. Another suggests porting the arcade game Scandal Mahjong to the system. Gameground is highlighted as a fun game, particularly appreciated for being one of the few titles offering multiplayer gameplay. Its strategic elements and changing stage layouts are noted as positives, making it a recommended purchase, especially at a lower price point. The potential for Sorcerian to be released on CleanDRAW with additional scenarios is also brought up. The page also includes a section showcasing reader illustrations. The artwork features characters from Sonic the Hedgehog, Ranma 1/2, Langrisser, Shining in the Darkness, and Gain Ground. Smaller comments at the bottom touch upon other games like XDR, X Dungeon Revolution. This page features the Things I Want to Say to Sega section, where readers offer feedback and critiques, accompanied by an energetic illustration of dancing figures. Readers express frustration over repeated delays for games like the strategy title, Advanced Strategy, noting that while content might improve, half-year postponements are excessive, especially given the price. Another suggests a fun marketing idea, a commercial for Sega CD titles featuring the iconic Sega sound. Concerns are also raised about the availability of popular new releases, with one reader finding it difficult to purchase desired games near their launch. Below, there's a notice about the original soundtrack for the TV show Kage no Gundam, complete with cover art. Following this, a large image showcases the title screen for The Super Shinobi, known internationally as The Revenge of Shinobi. A reader comments on this game, comparing the ninjas in the title screen artwork to those from the Kage no Gundam TV series starring Shinichi Chiba, and questions if Sega obtained proper permission, noting a visual discrepancy between the game's title art and the show's imagery. Finally, a section titled, What is This?, highlights a controversial newspaper article from the Yomiuri Shimbun concerning a dispute over the game Kakugeki, which apparently caused its release delays. The reader asks Sega for an explanation, acknowledging it might be a complex adult world issue, and inviting others to speculate. This page of the magazine features reader-submitted manga centered around MD Kun, the Mega Drive mascot, showcasing reader enthusiasm for Sega. Corrections from the previous issue are also included, highlighting image errors for games like Hard Drivin', Test Drive 2, Pipe Mania, and Shakes 3D Pool. The main focus is announcing the winners of reader giveaways, with prizes including games such as Zero Wing, Blue Almanac, Sengokushi Retsuden, Axe Battler / Golden Axe 2, Jean Monogatari, Gear Stadium, Super Golf, and Castle of Illusion. Other prizes like phone cards and book vouchers are also mentioned. Finally, the page details how readers can contribute to the People Land section, including general game discussion, industry feedback, observations, a Q&A, complaints, and continued manga submissions. The upcoming issue's discussion theme is Sega's new hardware. Submission guidelines are provided. This page features a mail-order advertisement offering imported games for several popular platforms. The headline promises that the overseas software you've been wanting can now be yours. The main focus is on games for the Genesis, the US version of the Mega Drive, alongside titles for the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, Game Boy, and TurboGrafx CD. A prominent section lists Genesis games, highlighting titles like Populous, Budokan, Fatal Labyrinth, PGA Tour Golf, and James Pond. The descriptions provide brief insights into the gameplay, noting things like the strategic depth of Populous or the action of Budokan. Another large section lists NES imports, including US versions of classics like Dragon Warrior, Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Bros. 2, the US Doki Doki Panic, Castlevania, and Final Fantasy, explaining the need for a special adapter for use on Japanese Famicom systems. There are smaller lists for Game Boy, featuring NFL Football and Spider-Man, and TurboGrafx CD with YSI and 2, and Fighting Street. The page includes instructions on how to order via phone, emphasizing confirming stock and sending payment via registered mail. It also provides contact details for the seller, including a map to their physical store in Akihabara for those who prefer to visit. Overall, it's a direct sales pitch targeting Japanese gamers looking to access titles not officially released in Japan at the time. This page is part 1 of a feature diving into CSK Research Institute's entry into the Mega Drive market, prominently featuring their highly anticipated port of the arcade classic, Galaxy Force 2. The article includes photos of 2 men wearing boxing gloves, perhaps symbolizing the competitive spirit of development, and a key figure from Cree, Mr. Tomoyuki Shimizu. The discussion centers on why CSK Crick decided to bring their titles to the Mega Drive after developing several games for the FM Towns, including Afterburner, Turbo Outrun, Last Survivor, and Galaxy Force 2. They highlight the Mega Drive's interesting features, speed, and technical capabilities as key reasons, noting it was a superior game machine compared to others at the time before the Super Famicom arrived. Specifically regarding Galaxy Force 2, the article discusses capturing the arcade's unique floating sensation and beautiful 3D graphics on the Mega Drive. They acknowledge the positive reception to their previous FM Towns ports, particularly the culminating success of the Galaxy Force 2 version on that platform. The feature underscores CSK Crick's commitment to putting significant effort into console game development moving forward. This page continues the feature on CSK Research Institute's venture into Mega Drive development, specifically highlighting their work on Galaxy Force 2. The article includes a large photo of Mr. Hidetoshi Ikewe, who is overseeing the project's adjustments. The interview discusses the development progress of the Mega Drive port of Galaxy Force 2, aiming for an early September release with a small team of just 4 people handling development in-house, though music is outsourced. They touch upon the challenges of bringing the game to the Mega Drive, particularly the technical hurdles posed by its graphics capabilities, such as the limited simultaneous colors and sprite handling compared to the arcade original or the FM Towns version. Significant effort was required to keep the game size within the 8 MB limit. CSK Research Institute emphasizes their focus on action and shooting games for the Mega Drive, prioritizing graphics, the unique floating sensation of games like Galaxy Force 2, and strong music. They express confidence in the Mega Drive port's quality and aim to make it a significant title that honors the arcade original. The page also shows screenshots of the Galaxy Force 2 menu and gameplay. This page introduces PAL Soft, proclaiming themselves a hot-blooded Mega Drive declaration, and an Industries Supernova. The feature includes a dynamic image of a man in boxing gear, setting an energetic tone for their entry into the market. This is presented as Part 2, following up on new developers making their mark. The core of the page is an interview with PalSoft, discussing their background. They reveal that they previously operated behind the scenes, undertaking development work for various companies across multiple platforms including the Famicom, Mega Drive, and PC Engine, building significant know-how. Now they are stepping into the spotlight with their own brand and titles for the Mega Drive. PalSoft expresses their desire to release their own games and see the Mega Drive audience as passionate and open to different genres. While they have capabilities across various types, they state a particular inclination towards shooting and action games. Featured prominently is a screenshot of their upcoming title, Under Deadline, a horizontal scrolling shooter slated for an autumn release. The title screen is shown, highlighting this exciting new addition to the Mega Drive library from this fresh developer. The page also includes a brief history of PalSoft and a photo of their office. This page continues the feature on PalSoft, titled The Hot-Blooded Mega Drive Declaration Part 2. The article includes an interview with the company, where they discuss their approach to developing for the Mega Drive and other platforms. They highlight their extensive experience, gained from previously doing outsourcing work for various companies, which they now see as a powerful asset. The interview covers their views on systems like the Game Gear, TerraDrive, and Creedrum, expressing particular interest in the TerraDrive's dual display capabilities. They emphasize their dedication to maximizing the Mega Drive's hardware and creating games that satisfy passionate users. A photo shows a smiling PalSoft representative, stating their production line is robust with pragmatic individuals. The page also reveals PalSoft's upcoming Mega Drive titles. Their first game will be Undeadline, a horizontal scrolling shooter based on the Sharp X68000 version, featuring adjustable parameters and arranged stages. They are also porting the arcade hit Double Dragon 2, aiming for a faithful adaptation, with ongoing work to refine the character animations. These announcements show PalSoft is ready to deliver exciting new experiences to Mega Drive fans. This page is the third part of the Be Mega Hot menu feature, introduced by Sonic the Hedgehog, highlighting upcoming and notable Sega Mega Drive releases. The menu lists several games, including Kuga, Arcus Odyssey, Raiden Densetsu, and more, starting with the main focus here, Advanced Daisen Ryaku, Blitzkrieg Campaign. The article dives deep into this challenging war simulation title from Sega. It immediately sets a bold tone, stating that the developers intentionally made some maps incredibly difficult, almost designed to prevent players from winning, daring you to take on these ultra-tough scenarios. The game offers deep simulation gameplay with campaign and standard modes, featuring adjustable weather and unit classes. Difficulty scales significantly, especially in maps set after 1943, reflecting historical disadvantages for Germany, making these late-game scenarios exceptionally hard in both modes. Despite the punishing difficulty, the reviewer praises Advanced Daisen Ryaku's depth and replayability, noting its ability to make losing feel like a compelling reason to try again. The page includes screenshots showcasing the hexagonal battlefield and diverse units. A dedicated strategy section advises players to adapt their tactics between the early and late game scenarios, emphasizing that post-1943 maps require sophisticated strategy, unit management, production planning, and understanding of unit limits rather than just brute force. This page continues our deep dive into Advanced Daisen Ryaku, Blitzkrieg Campaign, focusing on how certain maps present unique challenges, especially when weather is a factor. First up is the French Africa map. Playing this with weather on makes it incredibly tough, if not impossible, due to relentless rain, just like the historical campaign. The key here is naval control. The enemy's production centers are on islands, and their huge fleet is blocking access. You can't win without dealing with them. The suggested strategy involves producing submarines and Ju-87D dive bombers. Subs handle battleships and heavy cruisers, while the Ju-87D targets lighter ships and destroyers. Using these units effectively is crucial to breaking the naval blockade. Next, we look at the Kharkov map, which is presented as an endless map loop. It is an allied unit encircled in the southeast. In campaign mode, rescuing them from your western starting position is practically impossible due to distance. In standard mode, if you push east to rescue them, you get encircled from the north and south, effectively ending up in the same trapped state as the initial allied unit. The map summary lists participants like Germany, VVS-AG, and Hungary. The recommended strategy to break this cycle is counterintuitive. Ignore the surrounded unit for a moment, and instead attack the enemy stronghold to the north, Voronezh FT, first. This is the only way to avoid getting caught in the same trap. The text highlights two challenging maps in Advanced Dazenryaku. Blitzkrieg campaign. Germany's hellish frontline. Normandy restricts naval engagements and landlocks. German production creating deployment difficulties. Poorly positioned coastal defenses exacerbate troop congestion, making direct attacks on landing zones nearly impossible. The map features limits on production units for Germany, America, and the UK. The brutally difficult Ural, triple the enemy, don't lose, presents an even greater challenge. Players begin surrounded by Soviet forces with no allies. The objective is to break the encirclement. Fleeing is fatal. Maximum production units are listed for several forces. Finally, the text controversially suggests save scumming, repeatedly reloading saves to ensure successful indirect attacks, as a necessary tactic to overcome nearly impossible odds in maps like Ural. This page discusses the Ardennes 44 scenario in Advanced Dazenryaku Blitzkrieg campaign, highlighting its significant challenge. The enemy force vastly outnumbers the player's units, and while the enemy has numerous production centers, the player has only one air production facility. The text details tactical approaches, such as capturing the 101 para position, and using flame vehicles, like the SPW-251F1, to counter tough enemy units like the 101 paratroopers. A map graphic illustrates the unit deployments and potential attack routes. The page also features the second part of a developer interview. The developers discuss the technical challenges of giving the computer AI personality and the aims of creating a game that captures historical drama. They touch upon balancing issues, noting the difficulty in representing the relative strengths of Allied and German forces. The interview concludes by exploring the idea of future simulation games, where players could face off against famous generals like Rommel and Montgomery,
suggesting an ambition to add more personal character to the gameplay experience.
This page dives into the Mega Drive version of the arcade hit, Vapor Trail. Originally a Data East arcade game, this vertical scrolling shooter is being brought to the Genesis by Telenet Japan, set for release on July 19th for 8,400 yen. The article explains the game's premise.
In 1999, a military organization called Ragnarok suddenly takes control of military bases worldwide. Global powers unite to fight back, leading to the deployment of 3 experimental fighter jets from a secret factory aboard a disguised aircraft carrier. The story section includes character art of an operator, and mentions the operator being surprised by news of New York falling silent. Gameplay is highlighted as a 2-player co-op vertical shooter. Players choose one of 3 distinct fighter jets, each named after a goddess: Sylph, Valkyrie, and Seylan. The article describes the characteristics of each ship. Sylph is a versatile attacker with medium speed, Valkyrie boasts the strongest attack power but is slow, and Seylan is the fastest but lacks rear-fire capability, described as lacking thrill despite its speed. Game features 6 stages, with the final boss being the sole opponent on the last stage. The review notes that players can choose the same ship in 2-player mode, avoiding potential conflict over ship selection. Vapor Trail offers a variety of combat options. Primary weapons include the initial Vulcan cannon, which evolves with power-ups, the screen-clearing bomber, the rapid-firing homing missile, and the generally ineffective Defender. Each ship has its own Vulcan behavior upon upgrade. Special equipment provides additional defensive and offensive capabilities. The barrier grants temporary invincibility when a gauge is full, demanding strategic use. Special units are option pods. The GU unit offers varied firing patterns depending on the ship, and the Deuceon unit fires large explosive rounds. Deploying these requires skill and thoughtful timing. Stage 1 of Vapor Trail plunges you into a silenced New York. You'll battle enemy troops amidst skyscrapers and highway overpasses. Early attacks are light, but tanks emerge from below, requiring careful maneuvering. Power-ups, speed boosts, a special unit, and weapon select offer strategic choices. The mid-boss tank, while slow, demands patience and evasion. The level's environment includes advantageous overpasses and precarious construction sites. The stage culminates in a helicopter boss fight. Destroy its turrets quickly to avoid its homing missiles. Normal shooting suffices, but use your special unit as a last resort bomb. Defeating the boss leads to the mission complete screen. However, unlike the arcade version, the Mega Drive version offers no escape, hinting at a more hostile world.
This page continues the breakdown of Vapor Trail, moving on to stages 2 and 3. Stage 2 takes the fight from New York to the deserts of North Africa and the Middle East. You'll encounter tricky enemies like the Flame Dragon units that unleash fire tornadoes, and ground tanks cleverly hidden beneath passenger planes, requiring careful attention. The stage also features persistent ground aircraft carriers that constantly launch aircraft. The mid-boss is a huge, costly Icarus unit that attacks with fire tornadoes, a relentless and powerful foe built with seemingly unlimited funds. Stage 3 transitions to a lush forest zone. Enemies like tanks hide within the trees, demanding sharp awareness. The middle part of the stage introduces a difficult opponent, an attack train that relentlessly spews bullets, suggesting the use of your special bomb to clear projectiles. The stage features areas described as crater-like. Later, you face a swarm of mobile suits or mechs, overwhelming in number. The boss for this stage appears to be the BS-3H satellite, described as a failed launch, requiring you to battle it in space.
This page features Namco's baseball game for the Mega Drive, Yakyu Duchuki, known internationally as Kawasaki Super Challenge Baseball, or Namco Baseball. Described as the third wave, following Namco's popular Famista and Warsta series, this title takes a different approach, aiming for a more realistic baseball simulation, with detailed data and customizable settings, unlike the arcade-style Famista. The main character featured is Terosuke, familiar from Namco's Wagyan Land series. The game offers 3 modes: World Tour, 1P vs. Com, and 1P vs 2P, with the World Tour mode featuring a password save system for progress. The page highlights the simulation aspects, allowing players to adjust pitching and fielding positions, aiming for a feel closer to a real game. A significant portion details the game's impressive roster of 38 teams from both Japan and the US. These teams are divided into leagues and regions, each possessing distinct strengths. For example, the P League is noted for high offense, the C League for lower pitching and batting stats initially, the A League East for strong hitting, especially the TB team, the A League West for excellent pitching, the SM team being the best, and the N League West for strong defense and overall balance. Screenshots show the game's charming chibi character style on the field, and a menu screen. The page also includes a small illustration of Sonic the Hedgehog. Released by Namco, the game was priced at 6,000 yen and scheduled for July 12th. This page dives deeper into the realistic simulation aspects of Kawasaki Super Challenge Baseball. A core feature is the detailed player data, which goes beyond just stats to include a dynamic condition system. Player performance changes throughout the game based on factors like winning or losing, adding a layer of strategic depth. You can manage your team comprehensively, with menus allowing for pitcher and fielder substitutions, adjusting the batting order, and changing defensive positions, all based on the detailed player data available for both your team and the opponent. The page also showcases 3 of the game's 6 unique stadiums, each with distinct characteristics that affect gameplay. Doom Stadium is an artificial turf dome, known for fast ground balls and high bounces, favoring offense. Roko Stadium features a natural dirt infield, low fences, and lucky zones that make it easier to hit home runs, perfect for power hitters. American Stadium is the widest natural grass field, with standard ball physics, making home runs tougher and favoring strong defense. These varied stadiums provide strategic advantages and different gameplay experiences. This page continues the exploration of Kawasaki Super Challenge Baseball, focusing on the nuances of pitching and the game's unique ballparks. The game defines breaking balls as pitches that miss the timing by changing speed, rather than just having sharp vertical or horizontal movement. The forkball, for example, is described as losing speed suddenly mid-air, like a changeup, making it difficult to time, a significant departure from the unrealistic pitches found in games like Famista. A diagram illustrates how the timing window for hitting changes with pitch speed. The page also details 3 more of the game's distinct stadiums. Morozia Stadium is an icy field where ground balls are fast and bouncy, making fielding tricky due to the slippery surface, and the incredibly high fence limits home runs. Akibian Stadium is a desert ballpark with a sand outfield that kills ball bounce entirely, making outfield defense challenging, although the fences are relatively low, allowing for easy home runs over the sand trap bunkers. Finally, Ship Stadium is set on a boat with an artificial turf deck.
while the center field bridge serves as a high fence. The handrail-like fences on the sides are lower, and the ball speed and bounce are comparable to dome stadiums, offering a varied hitting environment. This article previews the final chapter of Arcus Odyssey, a game the magazine has covered for 3 months, with the release date set for June 14th. It highlights early to mid-game moments, including battling enemies and exploring diverse environments. The article offers gameplay tips. Prioritize defense, as blocking projectile attacks is effective. Appreciate the changing backgrounds, and play cooperatively for enhanced enjoyment and strategic depth, especially in chapters with 4-character party movement. The reviewer emphasizes the fun of unpredictable developments. The article includes character artwork and confirms the game, developed by Wolf Team, is an ARPG, priced at 8,500 yen, and is 8 MBIT. Chapter 6 of Arcus Odyssey presents a direct climb through increasingly difficult rooms filled with boss-like enemies. The Haniwa room houses 3 stationary statues that launch fire and light attacks. The recommended strategy is to fight them one at a time in the open space. The spider room features poisonous, web-shooting spiders that should be fought strategically, focusing on their vulnerable eyes. The room of mysterious creatures contains enemies that attack with rings of light, requiring constant movement to avoid being cornered. The chapter culminates in a battle against a corrupted human, revealing a parasitic demon that initiates a final boss encounter. This page covers Chapter 7 of Arcus Odyssey, titled The Ugly Evil Castle. Following the defeat of the 3 demon emperors, the heroes are filled with confidence. But their earlier words hint at lingering concerns, suggesting true victory only comes by defeating Castamira. The chapter features organically shaped fields, with peculiar, segmented terrain, and dangerous enemies like giant scorpions. Zakara in the Japanese version, though often just referred to by description. Players are advised to be cautious, especially when surrounded, and not to hesitate using magic. The page notes a poignant encounter with an injured adventurer who provides information about Castamira, having suffered severe injuries during their own battle. There are also dead ends, where cryptic messages appear, hinting at hidden conditions or events. A significant point is the reappearance of the 3 demon emperors, Yoshinori, Gaisark, and Selgata, who are now invincible, raising questions about Castamira's resurrection or influence. Accompanying them in their room is a suspicious figure seated at the back, radiating ki, or energy, with a magical formation in the center of the room. The page ponders the identity and purpose of this mysterious character. The artwork at the bottom shows 2 of the game's protagonists. Chapter 8 of Arcus Odyssey, The Bloody Full Moon, brings the party to Castamira's castle, with Athi's powers gone and the final battle near. Expect a tough trek and use your strongest attacks while conserving healing items. This guide also offers strategies for previously uncovered bosses. To defeat the Chapter 4 mid-boss Cyclops, position yourself to exploit a terrain glitch. Against Kutaraga, stay in a corner and alternate attacking and defending. For the Serpent Dragon, stay close and attack. Gishark's attacks are best countered by circling behind it, avoiding the tornado. Midgard's fire and arrows are mitigated with specific positioning. Lastly, be cautious against Selgata's burst shot. Quote, This page introduces Raiden Densetsu, the impressive Mega Drive port of the legendary arcade vertical shooter, Raiden. Known for its challenging difficulty, the game sees you piloting a fighter to defend Earth from extraterrestrial invaders. The article praises the Mega Drive version for its remarkable fidelity to the arcade original, faithfully replicating weapon types, power-up mechanics, enemy behaviors, and adjustable difficulty. It even includes quality-of-life features like a sound test and rapid fire. As a bonus for dedicated players, there's an entirely new stage unlocked after clearing the main game. The core gameplay revolves around a robust power-up system. Your main weapons are the wide-spreading wide shot and the powerful straight-firing laser. Powering them up is tied to collecting items that cycle between red, for wide shot, and blue, for laser. Picking up an item matching your current weapon's color grants a power boost. You also have access to limited-use bombs with significant destructive powers. Screenshots show the intense action and detailed visuals of the game. Raiden features 3 sub-weapons: the homing missile, green marks, the powerful nuclear missile, yellow marks, and the bomb, B marks. Collecting the same color item repeatedly powers up the corresponding weapon. Strategic weapon use is crucial. Stage 1 introduces tanks, including hidden ones in a forest, culminating in a dual tank boss battle. Stage 2 presents more challenging enemies, including those that spray bullets, and a highway with railgun emplacements. It emphasizes bomb conservation for the stage's boss, a unique aircraft. The strategy for the boss involves destroying its side wings before attacking its central weak point, while avoiding its erratic attacks. This page is dedicated to Master of Monsters, a fantasy simulation game. It provides a guide to conquering the game's first campaign, focusing on 4 crucial elements: effective summoning, utilizing spirits, mastering great magic, and understanding monster growth. The article gives tactical advice, such as not relying solely on your favorite monsters, but using units with high movement early on to capture towers. It explains that spirits like fire are good for dealing consistent damage and finishing off weaker enemies.
It highlights the importance of the heal spell as essential great magic. Furthermore, it clarifies that while hitting enemies gives a little experience, the primary way monsters level up is by defeating foes. Screenshots show the game's hexagonal map interface, unit stats during battle, and a visual sequence illustrating how to gain experience efficiently, suggesting you weaken enemies before letting the unit you want to level up land the final blow. This page continues the guide for Master of Monsters, focusing on strategies for conquering the first campaign map. The guide, presented by Notagunzi, highlights that this initial map is relatively easy. It advises players to understand the computer AI's algorithm, noting that the AI will initially focus on capturing nearby towers in the first few turns. Players should leverage high movement units like the Pegasus to quickly capture towers before the enemy does, otherwise they will face disadvantageous battles later. The guide also warns that the computer will use spirits to attack, so players must be careful not to lose units like the dragon early on. As the game progresses into a war of attrition in the central part of the island, the computer tends to neglect guarding towers. Exploiting this weakness by capturing enemy towers will prevent the enemy from summoning more monsters. The article also includes opinions on specific monsters, noting the Kraken's surprising strength despite its appearance, and calling the Serpent a reliable unit with high HP and land movement. Finally, a small poll reveals players' least favorite enemy monsters: the Unicorn at number 1, followed by the Kraken at 2nd, and the Gorgon at 3rd. The commentary mentions the Berserker as a runner-up, and observes a common frustration with monsters that look weak but are surprisingly strong. This page is dedicated to the action game Saint Sword, developed by Taito. It highlights the game's unique features, primarily the protagonist Maclus's ability to transform. The game boasts free-scrolling action across large, intricate stages laid out on a 4 meg map, promising an exciting experience distinct from other action titles. The review introduces Maclus, an immortal hero from the Titan tribe, who gains incredible powers allowing him to transform and traverse land, air, and water. His quest is to retrieve sacred treasures and defeat King Gorgon. The game features horizontal scrolling across 7 stages, full of grotesque and powerful monsters. The first stage boss is specifically mentioned as huge and creepy, indicating the challenge players will face. Gameplay is divided into action mode for combat, where controls slightly change depending on Maclus's transformation, like the powerful kick of the centaur form, and select mode, used for item usage and triggering transformations. The article stresses the importance of mastering select mode, especially from stage 2 onwards, as effective item and transformation use is crucial for success. The overall impression given is a challenging fantasy action game, with a focus on exploration and transformation. This page continues the coverage of Saint Sword, detailing the protagonist Maclus's abilities. The hero features an RPG-like power-up system where defeating enemies increases his strength, evolving his form from a standard appearance to red, and ultimately the powerful Golden Maclus, which is highly recommended for tackling bosses. Beyond raw power, Maclus possesses 3 key transformation abilities, corresponding to land, sea, and air. By collecting specific items, he can temporarily transform into a centaur for land combat, a birdman for aerial traversals, and a fishman for navigating water environments. The centaur is known for speed, jump height, and defense, though its size can be a drawback. The birdman is crucial for exploring the game's intricate stages and bypassing obstacles, allowing seamless flight. The fishman form enables efficient movement underwater, a necessity as Maclus is slow in his human form, and is also useful for tight spaces. Mastering these transformations is vital for success across the varied stages. This page continues the guide for Saint Sword, focusing on Stage 1, which is described as quite simple. The objective is to defeat enemies, to obtain a key, then follow an on-screen arrow to the boss room. It's noted that the boss is difficult without transforming, and recommends practicing with the Golden Maclus power-up. Saving magic points is beneficial for later battles, and transformation items are highly desirable.
The page highlights 6 key points for Stage 1. Firstly, it identifies a particularly tough enemy besides the boss, a mobile skeleton with varied attacks, that yields many points. Secondly, it explains the mystery of increasing magic points from item drops. These points are used when utilizing the game's 7 stolen treasures, so saving them is advised. Thirdly, it reveals a secret. Complex maze sections might have hidden passages behind certain wall faces that can be revealed by attacking them. Fourthly, finding a key opens the boss room, and a helpful floating arrow guides you to its location. Fifthly, it mentions a specific enemy, a dragon-like creature, that restores HP when defeated, useful for preparing for the boss fight. Finally, it describes the Stage 1 boss, a 2-story fire-breathing creature, noting that you must hit both of its heads to win. Attacking the upper head requires a high attack, implying the need for flight, linking back to the Birdman transformation discussed on the previous page. This page kicks off a new section called Atto Faro, dedicated to post-release coverage and strategies for the game Langrisser, known internationally as Warsong, published by NCS. Warsong is a strategy RPG, released on April 26th. The contributor for this section, Mitsuemon, humorously notes they prefer slower-paced simulation games over action or shooting, fitting for covering this tactical title. The main focus of the page is a detailed walkthrough, covering the initial scenarios 1 through 10 of Warsong. Each scenario gets a brief description and tactical advice, often highlighting specific enemy units, important character interactions, or key objectives, accompanied by small screenshots showing the game's isometric battlefield view. The guide emphasizes managing units like Garrett, Chris, and Narm, suggesting optimal strategies like using specific units as bait or focusing on certain enemy types. A small panel on the side provides a snapshot of the reviewer's character levels at this stage of the game, listing the classes and levels for Garrett, King LV4, Jessica, Wizard LV5, Chris, Priest LV2, Narm, Lord LV2, Taylor, Serpent Knight LV3, Zahn, Fighter LV9, Albert, Knight LV4, and Hawking, Fighter LV9. This gives players a benchmark for their own progress. The page concludes by stating the next section will delve into the strategies for scenarios 11 through 20, covering the latter half of the game. This guide summarizes scenarios 11 to 17 of Warsong. Scenario 11, Dulce's Castle, focuses on archer placement and anticipating enemy spawns. Scenario 12, Twin Castle, is difficult, requiring careful unit management and strategic positioning against magic users. Scenario 13, Statue Town, is easier, but requires avoiding Basilisk's petrification. A treasure chest cures petrified units. Scenario 14, Wolfpack, has a deceptive start, unleashing a wave of enemies after the first is defeated. Scenario 15, Dragon's Roar, centers on defeating a powerful dragon, recommending support from Ifrit, and a commander that handles flying units. Scenario 16, In the Dark, involves enemies attacking from 2 directions, utilizing specific unit counters. Scenario 17, Strong Attack, pits the player against gargoyles, favoring archer-handling commanders. The guide also includes a table, detailing the magic spells each character class learns. The next page continues, the strategy guide for Warsong, detailing the final scenarios. Scenario 18, Velzeria, involves enemies like skeletons and golems, highlighting Nagya as the primary target for a quick clear, despite yielding low experience. Strategy involves using specific unit types against different foes, noting the defensive toughness of golems. An item list is present, showing gear effects gained from clearing scenarios. Scenario 19, Illusionist, introduces magic-using enemies like Nicoraris and Luplag, advising players to prioritize draining enemy MP with magic before engaging physically. The final scenario, Seal of Darkness, Scenario 20, is the game's conclusion, starting with skeleton waves and leading to encounters with powerful mages Basil and Chaos. The guide suggests splitting forces and focusing on MP management against Basils, while Chaos uses devastating magic like Earthquake, requiring diligent commander healing. The page concludes with a section on the game's ending, where each commander's post-game fate is revealed, encouraging players to keep everyone alive to see these epilogues, some of which are described as humorous. Screenshots illustrate battle scenes from these scenarios, including portraits of characters like Nicaris, Ledin, and Chaos. A small panel asks readers to suggest games for future post-release coverage. This page features a review of the Game Gear title, Fantasy Zone Gear, The Adventures of Oppa Jr., It's highlighted as one of the new releases for the system. Unlike a direct port, this game presents an original story starring Opajupa's son and retains the core essence of the classic Fantasy Zone shooter gameplay. Here, the review emphasizes the significantly enhanced graphics, noting them as among the best available on the Game Gear. Screenshots showcase vibrant and varied stages, including wood, fire, ice, water, cloud, and desert themes, along with unique and comical boss designs. The game incorporates the signature shop system, where players can purchase parts to power up, with the Game Gear version adding new original shield parts. According to the evaluation scores, the game excels in audio/visual presentation and longevity, scoring 5 and 4.5 respectively. Game balance is rated well at 4, but operability receives a lower score of 3.5, with the reviewer noting that the Game Gear's D-pad might make precise control challenging, especially in the later stages. Overall, it's recommended as a worthwhile shooting game, with satisfying original content and charming bosses, despite the potential control learning curve. The game was released on July 19, 1991. This page features reviews for 2 new Game Gear titles. First up is Ganbar Gorby, an action puzzle game where you control a character resembling Mikhail Gorbachev. The premise involves saving a country in need by switching things and delivering necessary goods.
The review notes the controversial nature of the character choice.
Gameplay involves navigating environments and solving simple puzzles or overcoming obstacles. Screenshots show top-down views of industrial areas.
The game offers 2 modes, one action-oriented and another based on switching paths.
The reviewer finds the graphics plain but surprisingly engaging once you grasp the mechanics. Scores indicate average operability and balance. Lower marks for audio/visuals and longevity.
The second game is Halley Wars, a vertical scrolling shooter. This is the Game Gear port of Taito's arcade game Halley's Comet. Players pilot a spacecraft to defend Earth against invaders related to Halley's Comet. The review highlights its simple yet effective design with flashy power-ups, making it accessible. Screenshots display classic top-down shooting action in space. The reviewer regards it as the most enjoyable Game Gear game covered in this issue, praising its simple, classic arcade fun reminiscent of games like Galaga. Scores are positive, particularly for operability and audio/visual presentation. This page features reviews for a couple of new Game Gear titles. First up is The Berlin Wall, an action puzzle game. The reviewer notes the title feels less impactful now, but the game itself has a nostalgic feel, perhaps comparable to something like Henkyo Alien. The core gameplay is an action puzzle hybrid, and the reviewer found the passwords given at the end of stages quite amusing. The game includes an opening demo. Screenshots show the character navigating various tiled environments and encountering enemies. Below that is Magical Taruto-kun, which is described as the Game Gear's first character-based game, based on a popular manga. Despite the source material, it's a shooting game.
The reviewer found the characters incredibly cute, and the game offers a heartwarming atmosphere. They specifically mention the first boss's long, persistent attack, and appreciate the small details in the presentation. Screenshots highlight the charming character designs and varied enemy types, including power-ups provided by the character Mimorican. It's considered the easiest shooting game reviewed in this issue, though the lengthy stages are noted as a drawback. The overall feeling is one of cuteness, even if the repetitive stage design might lead to boredom over time.
This page previews upcoming Game Gear titles. The first is Outrun, a graphically impressive port of the arcade racer, potentially offering new courses. Next, Rathistan Saga is a faithful port of the arcade action game, featuring the barbarian Rathistan battling dragons. Finally, Ariel, a fantasy role-playing simulation, offers an accessible RPG experience with character designs by Masamune Shiro. The G.G hotline reveals Sega's G.G RPG project, with 4 RPGs slated for release this year. These include Eternal Legend and Shadow Senki, Field-type RPGs, and the highly anticipated Phantasy Star Gaiden, which includes returning Phantasy Star characters and 3D dungeons, showing Sega's increased focus on RPGs for the Game Gear. This page features a special interview with Makoto Ojino, the creator of the popular Kujakuo series, known internationally as Peacock King. He discusses his role as the overall producer for the upcoming action RPG, Togijo King Colossus. The game is described as an action RPG with a rich story, featuring a wide variety of weapons and strategic elements. It also incorporates puzzles and dynamic sound design for dramatic effect. Ogino explains that he handled the character designs and oversaw the game development progress. He aimed to create a game accessible to beginners, while still offering depth for experienced players, stating his desire to avoid making it a standard RPG. The interview touches upon the game's world, the feel of the action, and features like obstacles that change when interacted with. The page includes a portrait photo of Ogino and an illustration of a character, noted as a Kujakuo illustration by him. Togijo King Colossus is scheduled for release on September 27th and features a 4 MB capacity. This page features a fascinating interview with Makoto Ogino, the creator of the Peacock King series, where he shares his insights into the game industry. Ogino reveals he was heavily into pachinko before getting serious about video games, finding many titles too difficult. This led him to seek simpler games, eventually collaborating on the Sega Mega Drive game King Colossus. He discusses his past playing game boards in arcades, even buying them, and his current preference for accessible yet deep gameplay. Ogino compares the creative process of manga and games, highlighting the joy of expressing a worldview through game development. He expresses a desire for more light-hearted or silly games that fulfill simple dreams. Most notably, Ogino calls for a French revolution in the game industry. He believes games have become overly difficult and exclusive, and he wants to bring them back to the hands of ordinary players, making them accessible to everyone. The page includes photos of Ogino, an illustration related to his work Algo, and shelves packed with games, emphasizing his passion. This page is volume 15 of the BeepMD Secret Technique League, hosted by none other than the enigmatic character Baroom I, who promises prizes for the best submissions. We dive into some clever glitches and exploits across several titles. For Warsong, Langrisser, there's a trick to access the scenario and sound select modes early by manipulating the map zoom and cursor position. There's also a neat way to start a scenario with most items already in your inventory, simply by using directional inputs and buttons on the recruit screen. Next up, for the intense space shooter Velix, a simple pause menu exploit involving the A, B, and C buttons combined with directional inputs grants you infinite lives and invincibility via a barrier. As one reader noted, it's almost too easy to be able to do this anytime. Finally, for the classic RPG Shining and the Darkness, dedicated players who level up their characters high enough can find unique, powerful items appearing in the item shop. Reaching level 60 might get you an earth hammer, level 70 a giant's flute, level 80 an explosive box, and level 90 the jet black box. These aren't your typical shopwares and offer unique effects in battle, adding a whole new layer for high-level adventurers. This page features game tricks for Game Gear and Genesis/Mega Drive titles. For the Game Gear, it highlights sound tests in the GG Shinobi, up plus start at title, and Gear Stadium, left UP plus start at logo. Gear Stadium also has a mid-game reset, start plus buttons 1 and 2, and a password manipulation trick, allowing players to skip to the final match by altering the password's first 3 digits. On the Genesis/Mega Drive, a stage select exploit for Populous is detailed. Pressing B while moving the D-pad during password entry, followed by entering 5 times the desired stage number. The article concludes with a description of the Secret Technique League prize tiers, offering prizes ranging from custom software bundles for major leaguer level tricks to gift certificates for less significant or humorous submissions. Instructions for submitting tricks are also provided. This page delves into the ongoing serialized narrative titled Hyper Sega Hard-Boiled Mystery: The Adventure Surrounding Rad Mobile SV Volume 3. It follows a private investigator tracking down a mysterious special version of the arcade driving game Rad Mobile, known as the SV. The lore around this elusive machine is that it features a hidden 21st stage, only accessible on a specific date and time, April 4, 1992, at 4:04 p.m. The story picks up as the investigator, accompanied by his assistant Aki, travels from Miyagi to Okayama on the trail of the SV. Their destination is Sega World Astro Park in Kurashiki City. The text describes the park's unique architecture, resembling a car wheel with a planetarium-like ceiling.
An accompanying image shows the park's entrance area, featuring an interesting dinosaur fossil relief. The narrative continues to build the mystery around the Rad Mobile SV and the detective's quest to find it, painting a picture of a nationwide search for this specific arcade cabinet. This page continues the hard-boiled detective's search for the elusive Rad Mobile SV. The investigator interviews two young women working at the Sega World Astro Park in Kurashiki, where he's on the hunt. He describes the arcade's unique, almost H.R. Giger-like atmosphere before his assistant Akeki is drawn away to a more whimsical area. Left to his own devices, the investigator gets down on the floor searching for the Rad Mobile machine's serial number, only to discover that despite his efforts, the rare SV version isn't present at this location. He sees a Shaki off at the train station, reflecting on the search. The page also features a sketch of Sonic the Hedgehog and photos showing the arcade's quirky stone money decoration, a Sega R360 motion cabinet operated by the store manager, and standard Rad Mobile cabinets. A separate section invites readers to send information about Sega games or interesting finds, with potential prizes like a Game Gear for featured submissions, emphasizing the investigator needs help tracking down old games or the Rad Mobile SV. This page covers updates and reviews related to the Sega Game Library service. A special edition of Pyramid Magic, the Complete Edition, is highlighted, noted for its increased difficulty compared to the standard version, featuring challenging puzzles that require significant thought. Screenshots show the game's tile-pushing mechanics. There's also a review of a music collection program for the Mega Drive, featuring BGM tracks from Sega titles like Phantasy Star IV, Bonanza Bros., and Sonic the Hedgehog, emphasizing the quality of the music. An update confirms that Versus Columns, Columns 2, is being added to the game library lineup, replacing a previous title called Dokuro Lock, which was not well received. This version focuses purely on the competitive gameplay. Further information details delays for the remaining two Phantasy Star II text adventure titles, Ludger's Adventure and Nye's Adventure, attributing the delay to planning changes and programmer issues. Finally, the page announces a contest seeking user-created stages for Pyramid Magic, which will be added to the game library version, encouraging players to contribute their own puzzles. Details on how to enter will be announced later. This page features a special planning article exploring virtual reality and its potential future in video games. Titled, Predicting Video Games in a Few Years, What is Virtual Reality? The piece discusses the concept of stepping directly into a game world, free from the separation of the screen, allowing players to fly, swim, and experience things beyond reality, essentially, living out dreams. The article highlights a system developed by Matsushita Electric Works, Panasonic, at their Shinjuku showroom, called the Viva system. This system, based on artificial reality technology from NASA, is described as a simulated experience where users can freely move within a preset 3D virtual space. It's explained that the user's movements, like turning left or right, are reflected in the virtual environment, allowing them to approach or distance themselves from objects, or even fly. The system demonstrated uses a kitchen as its model environment. The author expresses surprise at the immersive experience, and speculates that this technology has extremely wide potential applications, suggesting it could easily extend into entertainment, like video games. The image shows a futuristic-looking hand reaching towards a digital environment and a photograph of the Shinjuku Metropolis building, where the showroom is located. This page continues the look at Matsushita Electric Works' artificial reality system, detailing its components and how it creates a simulated experience. The system requires about a 10 tatami mat space and connects a goggle-type display for visuals and sound, a power glove sensor for hand movements, and a control bar to manage the environment. The interaction feels real. Users can pick up objects, open doors, and even hear sounds like breaking dishes. The article then pivots to the exciting potential of this VR technology for video games. Imagine stepping into 3D maze games, exploring RPG dungeons, or engaging in 3D adventure games that simulate walking through buildings and fighting enemies. The developer involved mentions the system is currently used for a simulated kitchen, but has plans for upgrades to provide various experiences, expressing hope that game makers will utilize it for new hobbies. Adding a historical perspective, the page highlights that renowned manga artist Osamu Tezuka depicted virtual reality-like experiences 20 years ago in his work Gillette, where a character enters imagined worlds via brain stimulation, showing that the concept has long captured the imagination. The experience itself, as shown by a user wearing the headset, is noted as feeling a bit strange but intriguing from an external perspective. This page continues the discussion on artificial reality, focusing on how far the Power Glove can enhance the experience by enabling touch feedback. It highlights ongoing research into providing tactile sensations within virtual environments, which could bring RPG dungeons or battles closer to reality. The page then shifts to the concept of virtual sound, mentioning a CD and a Famicom game called Shadow Blasters that utilize this technology, creating an immersive audio experience through headphones, simulating sounds happening around the listener. A fun illustration shows someone reacting intensely to the virtual sound. Finally, the page features Miss Chi Takanaka from Capcom's Advertising and Public Relations Department. The article describes her as knowledgeable and approachable, known among game magazine editors for her helpfulness and discerning taste in games. Her feature is accompanied by dynamic screenshots from the legendary fighting game Street Fighter II, emphasizing her connection to Capcom's popular titles. This page is a reader giveaway section, offering a chance to win various prizes by submitting the magazine's questionnaire postcard with a stamp by the specified deadline, with winners announced in the September issue. Featured prizes include several Sega Mega Drive games. 5 readers can win the arcade conversion Marvel Land, a vibrant platformer. 5 others can win the strategic depth of Advanced Daisen Ryaku, a World War II simulation. Human's debut Mega Drive title, the realistic Fra1 Racer Fastest One, is also available for 5 winners. 6 players have a shot at Super Airwolf, a top-down shooting game from Kyugo Boeki. Beyond Mega Drive titles, there are prizes for Game Gear fans. Ryukyu, a unique game combining Okinawan culture and poker, for 3 winners, and the Game Gear version of the Mahjong puzzle game Shikinjo from Sunsoft for 3 winners. For fans of game music and merchandise, Technosoft's Music Collection Volume .3 Candelas, featuring titles like Thunder Force 2 Eyes, is being given to 20 readers. 10 winners will receive exclusive Wolf Team merchandise, including pens and cool Ruban logo stickers showcasing their new design. Finally, 3 readers can win a limited edition Super Volleyball telephone card from Video System.
It's a great mix of games and collectibles for fans.
This page features a vibrant illustration of Sonic the Hedgehog celebrating amidst confetti, stars, and presents, capturing the excitement around Sega. The main editorial content discusses the recent announcement and exhibition of Sega's Credrom add-on. The author notes the user base is already experiencing this new hardware. The big question is what it can do. While improved graphics and sound are expected, the focus is on game content. The text warns that even with enhancements, players can get bored if the games aren't compelling, citing anime-heavy RPGs, or games relying solely on realistic sound. The piece concludes by stating that Sega, along with third parties, is now feeling the necessity to develop more advanced software for the new hardware, with a graphic indicating an August 7th or 8th release. Elsewhere on the page, there is a list of the magazine's staff. There's also a section providing a telephone number for reader questions about the magazine's content, though not game hints. A notice is posted seeking freelance writers and editorial assistants for the magazine, outlining the requirements and application process. Finally, instructions are provided on how to fill out the questionnaire postcard for reader feedback. This includes questions about reader demographics, purchases of specific games like Bonanza Bros., Zero Wing, and Fireshark, arcade habits, and desires for games to be ported to Credrom or released in the future. This page features a prominent advertisement or feature for the classic arcade shoot 'em up Raiden, making its way to the Sega Mega Drive. The artwork showcases the game's distinctive red and white fighter jets soaring above a landscape, immediately catching the eye. Bold text declares its status as the #1 hit dominating game centers, arcades, and announces that it is finally becoming available for home players. The text confirms the game contains all 8 stages from the arcade version, plus additional exciting special stages. Key details like the release date of July 6th, the price of 8,800 yen, and the technical specifications of an 8 megabit cartridge for a single player are clearly listed. 2 screenshots provide a taste of the intense gameplay, showing a massive boss battle with a fiery energy blast, and the player ship engaging multiple large enemy vessels. Copyright information indicates this port was developed by Micronet under license from Seibu Kaihatsu, the original arcade creators, and is officially sanctioned for the Mega Drive by Sega. Bringing an arcade powerhouse like Raiden home was a major event, promising fans the thrilling vertical scrolling shooter experience they loved.
This page follows up on the release of Raiden Densetsu, the Mega Drive port of the popular arcade shooter Raiden.
It announces a significant recruitment campaign seeking game monitors, essentially playtesters or reviewers. The exciting incentive for participants is the chance to win one of 10 Sega TerraDrive units. The TerraDrive is presented as Sega's new PC platform, giving winners an early opportunity to experience games, potentially including American titles. To enter this lottery, players needed to purchase the Raiden Densetsu game, released July 6th, clear a specific special stage, and then send in the included survey postcard with the required message by the September 30th deadline. The page features a charming illustration of a cartoon pilot character standing beside the Sega MegaDrive system, which appears to be an IBM PC-compatible computer integrated with MegaDrive hardware. This promotion highlights the game's challenging content with the special stage requirement and ties into Sega's venture into the PC market with the TerraDrive. This page features striking artwork for the Mega Drive title, Pinball no Yoru. The illustration is dominated by a dark, skeletal structure that seems to form a futuristic helmet or mask over a human face. The face, belonging to a female character, has stylized plating and piercing blue eyes, with a single drop of red liquid visible near the lip. Behind the central figure is a complex circular mechanism, with grids and lines, giving a technical, or perhaps digital feel. The large, stylized Japanese text at the bottom clearly reads, quote, Pinball no Yoru, which is the game's title. This page serves to introduce or highlight this unique pinball game. It confirms the platform as the Sega Mega Drive and lists the publishers and copyright holders as Technosoft and Naxat Soft/Red, with copyright years of 1990 and 1991. The artwork suggests a dark, sci-fi, or perhaps even horror-themed pinball experience, moving beyond traditional pinball visuals. This page presents the Technosoft Sega Mega Drive title, Devil's Crush, known as Devil Crash MD in Japan. The visuals are dominated by dark, abstract art with mechanical and organic elements, including a prominent eye, setting a clear gothic pinball theme. The page promotes the game as a shocking Mega Drive pinball game debut, with amazing new worlds of visuals. It also highlights its strongest graphics and BGM evolved for excitement, and numerous original stages and sounds full of sensitivity. The game was publicly revealed for the first time at the Tokyo Toy Show on August 9th at booth number 4403. A group called Gals Club is also featured, inviting attendees to the event. This page presents Ganbar Gorby, an action puzzle game for the Sega Game Gear. Introduced as the first game of its kind on the system, players guide the titular character, Gorby, through intricate factory levels, manipulating machinery and using items to deliver goods to customers. The vibrant artwork features the energetic main character, Gorby, surrounded by other characters from the game, a giant Game Gear console, and symbolic items like a medicine bottle and a scullable poison bottle. Two small screenshots provide a look at the game's pixel art gameplay, showing characters navigating complex routes filled with switches and obstacles. The game was released on June 21st for 3,500 yen. The page also provides pricing information for the Game Gear console itself at 19,800 yen and an optional TV tuner pack for 12,800 yen, highlighting the system's capabilities beyond just gaming.